Of that delay because of construction, and the right lane is currently closed. My delay right now is about 12 minutes. South side westbound 465 slow after South Keystone Avenue to US 31. Traffic sponsored by Dell Technologies. Dell PCs with Intel inside are built with long-lasting battery and built-in intelligence. Built for you. Learn more at Dell.com/Dell PCs. I'm Matt Bear on the fives at WIBC Traffic.
Hey, what's up? Nigel here from the Hammer and Nigel Show. If you love your deck like I do, and you're thinking, well, what can I do to make it even look better and feel more comfortable? I got the answer. Premier Deck Coating. Hey, if you want your deck looking its absolute best, this is the way to go. Premier Deck Coating helps repel the moisture, add scratch resistance, and honestly, just makes everything look fantastic. Here's the best part. Comes in virtually any color to match your house. So you can really customize your space exactly how you want it. And there's a 10-year warranty. Yeah, 10 years. It means no more staining, no more painting every couple of years. And think about the money you're going to save there, right? And they can not only handle decks, but fences, pergolas, whatever, the whole outdoor setup. Get a free quote today, 317-696-4071. That's 696-4071 or premierdeckcoating.com. premierdeckcoating.com.
Turn your tax refund into new floors at Drexel Interiors. Luxury vinyl and carpet on sale now. Visit them in Carmel on River Road or on North Shadeland. Online at drexelin.com.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Mostly cloudy, scattered afternoon storms. A few storms could be strong, a high of 78. Showers and storms tonight. Some late night storms could be severe, a low of 62. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
And I'm John Herrick. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names here.
Trump's observation about assassinations is historically accurate, personally haunting. Lincoln, who ended slavery and preserved the Union, was killed at Ford's Theater 5 days after victory. McKinley, who ushered in American economic dominance, was shot at a public reception in 1901. Kennedy, at the height of the Cold War, his leadership, he was killed in a motorcade. And then you have Ronald Reagan, who survived a bullet in 1981, went on to end the Cold War. The pattern Trump is describing is real. The presidents who change things most dramatically attract the most dangerous opposition. It's not self-aggrandizement. It's just history. Now, of course, you're aware a man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down. And Donald Trump calls them brave Secret Service members.
Man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly.
So we'll talk about the Secret Service in just a minute. My name is Casey. That is Jim. Thank you so much for being here on this Monday. Also coming up this morning, this is probably the most impressive athletic feat ever.
Come on, Sebastian. You can get this. History in the making. Under 2 hours. Nobody has ever done this. They said it couldn't be done.
So you've got Sebastian Saul becoming the first person to run a marathon race in under 2 hours, winning the London Marathon, 1 hour, 59 minutes, 30 seconds. Of course, it was all downhill the whole way, right? I could have done that.
2 hours? Less than 2 hours? Casey Daniels,
No.
the new female marathon record holder. You're saying that that's possible.
No.
I love, keep that attitude, girl, all right? Nothing but positive things going forward. You can do it. I believe in you.
Not even close. Also on the way, he says he's humble and hungry. Or is he?
And there's a lot of anticipation coming to this pick, but now I'm really glad that all the outside noise is done. I'm officially a Raider. I'm excited to be humble and hungry and get to work.
Mm-hmm. Fernando Mendoza hyping up Raiders fans, but now there's a trending video after the NFL draft pick, and oops, he was dropping the F-bomb. Sure didn't take long in Vegas, did it?
All of a sudden, he's there. Next thing you know, he'll be throwing $1,000 down on the craps table, ordering some whiskey neat, and, headed over to the gentleman's club after that. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's Fernando Mendoza's style, but apparently he's not above to... Not above some salty language.
Yeah, it didn't take him long, did it? So we need our current and former elected officials and political pundits to debate policies and ideals and solutions to the issues that face us all the time, rather than scaring people with false narratives and demonizing our political figures and fueling anger and hatred and giving people more motivation to create chaos. And that's actually what Donald Trump was calling for at his press conference after the White House Correspondents' Dinner was interrupted.
So as you know, this is not the first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill. In Butler, Pennsylvania, less than 2 years ago, you all know that story. And in Palm Beach, Florida, a few months after that, we came close. We really had, again, we had some great work done by law enforcement. But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences. I will say, you had Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, liberals, and progressives. Those words are interchangeable, perhaps, but maybe they're not. But yet everybody in that room, big crowd, record-setting crowd. There was a record-setting group of people. And there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together. I watched, and I was very, very impressed by that.
So you've got Donald Trump, who's now survived 9 different documented attempts or plots on his life across his political career, going back to 2016. And then there were ricin mailings and different attempts on his life. Of course, we're all familiar with what happened in Butler. And no president in the modern era has faced this frequency of credible threats. And that individual went in there and intended to kill as many Trump administration officials as possible. And you've got this continual stream of hateful and toxic rhetoric from not only current, but also former elected officials, pundits, and the national media fueling all of it. And it's just dividing the country and giving crazy people the green flag to go ahead and do what they think they're supposed to do.
Yeah, you and I were sitting around on Saturday night, and we were watching a show on Netflix or something like that, and had a break between it, and, you walked out of the room, and I, opened my phone and checked out Twitter. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was, oh, man, here we go, or this is a big deal, or, it was, and I think my response to you at the time when I said this Saturday night was, it's shocking, but I also wasn't surprised because there have been so many legitimate threats on Donald Trump's life. This is the third time we all know about Butler, and then there was the guy on the golf course in 2025, and he had a rifle within range of Donald Trump, and now we've had this third attempt over the weekend where another person with multiple guns got, uncomfortably close to Donald Trump. And there's an incredible amount of whataboutism on the left, especially in the media. Oh, you know what? The Republicans have got divisive rhetoric too. There's plenty of divisive rhetoric on both sides. Yeah, but here's the difference with that. The divisive rhetoric coming from Donald Trump or conservatives isn't spurring people on the right to go attack people on the left. This is, and look, there's been political violence from conservatives in the past, but any logical, reasonable person looking at the last 10 or 15 years can only come to one conclusion, and that is the vast majority of political violence is coming from the left, whether it was Butler in 2024 or Luigi Mangione, who took out that CEO of United Healthcare in broad daylight. And by the way, the media made him out to be a heartthrob. You know what? He's the sexiest guy on death row, isn't he? He's the sexiest guy, and he did it for the people. Luigi Mangione, they still trying to make him into a hero for murdering somebody in cold blood on the streets of New York City. And then, of course, in 25, we had the golf course attempt on Donald Trump's life. 2025, we had Charlie Kirk. Of course, there's been plenty of attacks on ICE facilities. There was an attack on those National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. in 2025. And now here in 2026, we have the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There is no whataboutism about this. The vast majority of political violence is coming from the left, and to say anything different is to flat out ignore the facts.
So we used to host major political events in open hotel rooms because the assumption was always no one's crazy enough to try this. That assumption died between 1968 and now, but we just keep pretending that it didn't. And I love how everybody is now a security or Secret Service expert.
Right, exactly.
At this point, talking about perimeters and what should have happened, what shouldn't have happened. Here is Donald Trump, and he is talking about how with a hotel like the Hilton in Washington, D.C., and how there are 1,000 rooms on top, it is difficult to secure a building like that.
Well, it's always tough when you have 1,000 rooms. It's a large hotel right on top, and so people come down in elevators, and they're right over the top of where you're speaking, not very far away, and it's pretty tough. And, as you know, we're building a big, beautiful, very, very secure ballroom in every way with massive bulletproof glass that's almost 4 inches thick. It's pretty amazing stuff.
When do you think
all of
that'll
the
be
different
ready?
elements that you need, like drone proof, you need drone proofing, you need everything. But we also need a location, and the location's on the White House grounds, which is the most secure ground probably in the world, including the fencing, including everything else. The president doesn't have to leave the premises. It's really very secure. And this is mostly for future presidents. And we're actually ahead of schedule, and we're right on budget and ahead of schedule. It was always scheduled to open in 28, and probably I would have 5 or 6 months of use. But other people will have many years, hopefully hundreds of years of use. But it's going to be a magnificent building. But it was also designed in conjunction with the military and in conjunction with Secret Service. It's got every single bell and whistle you can possibly have for security and safety. And
So Trump said that the shooting now proves current venues like hotels aren't secure enough, and he's now pushed for his White House ballroom to be built inside the secure complex. The argument that a ballroom on White House grounds would have tight, controlled access and fewer vulnerabilities. And critics like to point out that the dinner, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, is independent and would probably not be held at the White House anyway, so the ballroom may not solve the issue. And clearly, the ballroom's been controversial. It's been tied up in legal and political fights. I say, finish the ballroom. Finish building the ballroom. And, you've got these Secret Service agents, and they accept the premise of their job. They stand between the president and the threat. And every agent who steps into that role understands that the vest did the job, may be their story, or the agent did not survive, may be the headline. And with the ballroom being built where the White House Correspondents' Dinner could potentially be held there, it mitigates that difference. The officer that took a bullet at the White House Correspondents' Dinner made the choice every day of his career to be the last line of defense. And I'm getting emotional because I have a family member who makes that decision every day. And when you go for the president like that, you also go for those Secret Service officers. Stop trying to kill the president. Stop trying to kill my family. That officer who took a bullet is a friend of my family. We know who he is. You're listening to 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
The government of Iran is seriously fractured, and the United States, you've got the leverage.
Donald Trump could have said, gonna hit the red button here. It could either be for a bunch of missiles or a Diet Coke.
When you have the leverage, when you've got the hammer, you use the damn hammer.
Coming from a guy named Hammer.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Jeff Thompson grew up on his family farm. Long days, hard work, and the kind of responsibility you don't learn from a book. He baled hay to put himself through Purdue and continued for years helping run the family's livestock and crop operation. When he wasn't in the field, Jeff was in the classroom, teaching chemistry, physics, and math, and raising 6 kids alongside his wife, Michelle. Faith, family, hard work, and lifelong learning. That's Jeff's foundation. In the State House, Jeff Thompson brings those same values to work every day. A conservative who believes in balanced budgets, protecting taxpayers, and empowering parents. This year, Jeff passed a bill to save homeowners over $1.3 billion in property taxes over the next 3 years. From the farm, to the classroom, to the State House, Jeff Thompson never forgets where he came from or who he's fighting for. Conservative. Proven. Vote Jeff Thompson for state representative.
Paid for by Citizens for Jeff Thompson.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
As you know, I had my garage floor coated with Galaxy concrete coatings a while back, and like anyone, I did some homework before I said, let's do this. Here are some things that I found out. First, Galaxy concrete coatings is local and ready to give you and all of Indianapolis a transformation. Next, Galaxy concrete coatings is 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it's designed to not only work in your garage, but they can also use it on driveways, walkways, around your pool, or patio. With it being UV resistant, it will not yellow. Oh, and it's ready to go in 24 hours, so you can drive, walk, run, dance, splash on it right away. Now for my fun part. I got you 15% off. Just tell them when you call 317-343-0879 you want the Casey deal. You got to tell them the Casey deal for 15% off. And check out their site at galaxyconcretecoatings.com. They are truly out of this world.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with Zero Res. Hi, this is Denny Smith, and if your house still smells like winter, yeah, it's time. Spring means fresh air, but not if your carpets and ducts are holding on to months of who knows what. This month, get Zero Resified from Indy's #1 carpet cleaner. Last chance. Buy 1 room of carpet, get 1 clean for free, unlimited rooms, plus $599 for a whole system air duct cleaning. Call Zero Res, 317-388-5141, ZeroResIndy.com for the WIBC special.
Miss M's Home and Garden in Bargersville is now open 7 days a week. Stop by Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. and 9 to 5 on Saturday and 11 to 4 on Sunday. Tell them JMV sent you.
This hour powered by Miss M's Home and Garden, Johnson County's spring nursery headquarters.
So we're in this weird historical loop. We deregulated airlines in the late 70s to let the weak players fail and prices drop. Now we're debating stepping in to save a weak player just to keep prices low. Is that capitalism evolving, or are we walking it back? Of course, you might have heard that Spirit Airlines on the brink of collapse again. This after a second bankruptcy and rising costs, the main issue. Jet prices, the fuel prices are surging, but the Trump administration is discussing a potential bailout worth around $500 million.
Yeah, everybody loves to make fun of Spirit Airlines because they are the ultimate low-cost airlines where you have to pay for everything. I think they were the ones that floated the concept of getting rid of seats altogether and standing for your entire flight. And so lots of jokes out there about Spirit Airlines and about how they're going through their second bankruptcy, and I am no fan of this. And look, call out and support Donald Trump when he makes decisions I agree with, and certainly call him out and let him know when these are decisions that I disagree with. But I hate this concept of the U.S. government, again, bailing out private businesses. But what I hate even more is all of this could have been avoided if Spirit Airlines and its proposed merger with JetBlue had been allowed to go through in 2024, but the Biden administration blocked that merger. And so you have this the Biden administration, no, we don't want too many airlines out there. We need a lot of airlines. We can't have too few airlines, so we're going to block this merger with JetBlue. And here we are less than 2 years later, and now the company is going through its second bankruptcy, and they're begging the federal government for $500 million to come and bail them out. If the Biden administration had just done their job 2 years ago and allowed the JetBlue Spirit Airlines merger to go through, we wouldn't be in this situation that we are today. But I am completely against bailing out this private company by the federal government. Private companies should be allowed to fail. That's why we never really came out of the financial crisis like we should have. And the term too big to fail. Oh, it's too big to fail. You remember the banks in 2008? Too big to fail. We can't let this happen. No, that's what capitalism is. And when you run a business and it's financially viable, it goes under and you declare bankruptcy and it goes bye-bye. You don't go to the federal government begging for a bailout. So I'm totally against this on every level, but much more upset about the fact that Biden and his administration did not approve the Spirit Airlines merger 2 years ago.
So one of the structures is that they would have a government loan in exchange for equity. And another idea being floated is that the United States buy the airline outright and then later sell it for a profit. This I do not like, because that is not the role of the government to buy and sell businesses.
Anytime the federal government gets involved in something like this with a private business, it better be extraordinarily rare and likely should only be done in national security issues. Look, if one of the big defense contractors, Boeing or Northrop Grumman or somebody like that, was on the verge of bankruptcy and couldn't make it anymore, you could make a case that for national security interests, the federal government needs to come in and bail out this defense contractor or do something along the line. Spirit Airlines, it can't make a reasonable case here why the federal government should be involved in bailing out a low-cost, crappy airline like Spirit Airlines. There's a reason why they're in bankruptcy. It's because everybody made fun of Spirit Airlines. Sure, I can get a flight to California for $150, but I'm going to have to pay extra to pick my seat. I'm going to have to pay to stand up. I'm going to have to pay for my carry-on luggage, and it's going to be one of the most miserable experiences I've ever had. There's a reason Spirit Airlines has gone through 2 bankruptcies. It's because they're a bad business, and bad businesses need to be allowed to fail.
So Fernando Mendoza was drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders, and there was a video of him saying that he's humble and hungry.
And there's a lot of anticipation coming to this pick, but now I'm really glad that all the outside noise is done. I'm officially a Raider. I'm excited to be humble and hungry and get to work.
So he gave all the glory to God on national television within minutes of being chosen by the Raiders. And then he got on a plane and went to Las Vegas. Oh, no. And he was hyping up Raiders fans. And then this happened.
Raiders! Hey, let's go. I appreciate you guys coming out. I love you guys.
That sure didn't take long, did it?
No, didn't he drop an F-bomb right after the national championship? I think there was one in some of the post-game interviews. He did that too. Look, it's adorable because he's such a squeaky clean kid and does everything right. And so when Fernando Mendoza drops an F-bomb, it all of a sudden becomes news. Any other athlete does it, and it's just Monday, big deal.
Right.
But it's Fernando Mendoza.
You don't expect that from him.
You don't expect it from him. And look, I have no idea whether or not Fernando Mendoza is going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. And anybody that tells you they do one way or the other, they're full of it. But man, it has been so much fun to watch him. I cannot wait to see some Raiders games this year. I'm kind of a little bit of a Raiders fan now. I mean, a little bit. I'm going to be watching Raiders games because I want to see Fernando Mendoza do well, and I hope he does well. But man, the NFL is difficult, and we're going to see what kind of an NFL player he is. Nothing's guaranteed by a long shot.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes possible across Indiana today. Right now, you've got a partly cloudy sky. It's 59 in downtown Indy. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Forecaster Matt Eckhoff with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis offers this advice if you get caught in these storms.
If you're driving, especially a high-profile vehicle, and winds start picking up, find an exit, take the nearest exit, and kind of wait it out. Be off of the highway, especially if the winds come in with heavy rain and visibility starts decreasing. Wait something like that out off the road.
Eckhoff says it's not clear how many rounds of severe weather the area could see because several parts of the storm system coming in from Kansas City are still shifting. Artificial intelligence moving in and taking some low-level jobs, but it's not ready for the big ones.
AI can do some of the work, but what really is needed is subject matter expertise.
That's Donna Dorsey with the Nebraska Technology Cooperative at the Aksarbin Foundation. She says tech jobs that require integrated teamwork and high-level decision-making still require human experience and skills. Coming up in the business week ahead, the Federal Reserve is supposed to announce its latest decision on interest rates on Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, investors will be keeping an eye on tech earnings with Meta, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft all due to report. And your opening bell report on 93 WIBC. So far, the Dow is down 90 points to 49,302. The S&P 500 down 7.5 points to 7187. And the NASDAQ has dropped about 20 points so far to 27,414. I'm John Herrick. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey, what's going on? It's Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel show. And I'm not going to lie to you. I needed help. I got a bald spot in the back of my head, and it's embarrassing. I see it when I'm on television. I see it when I'm on the YouTube channel. So I decided to reach out for help. And my friends at We Grow Hair Indy decided to help me out here. These guys are the absolute best. I was a little leery about it. I could not have a procedure that, one, hurt, or two, left me looking like I'd been scalped. But after I talked with Darren and the entire team at We Grow Hair Indy, they told me their state-of-the-art technology, the progress made in hair growth, it's going to be okay. If I can do this, you guys can do this. Contact the team at We Grow Hair Indy, 317-522-2995. That's 522-2995. Get that free evaluation. It's free. You can also go online to WeGrowHairIndy.com. Contact them today and do this with me. WeGrowHairIndy.com.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling. A familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Race Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off and you'll put cash in your pocket. Raise Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling. A familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
It's back. Indy's biggest party. Miller Lite Carb Day. Ryan Crows. And special guest, Switchfoot. Miller Lite Carb Day, May 22nd at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. General admission, pit and VIP tickets are available now at IMS.com.
Hi, I'm Cherie Sample Hughes, Women in Government Board Chair. Alzheimer's disease often starts subtly with a memory slip, lost word, or forgotten appointment. For patients experiencing memory and thinking issues, there are FDA-cleared blood biomarker tests that can help detect the buildup of proteins in the brain that can lead to the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. That's why early detection and diagnosis are so important. Sharing details about your memory and thinking issues with your doctor can help determine if testing is right for you. Find more at womeningovernment.org.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here. Let me ask you something. Are your gutters frowning from this past winter? Because after all the ice and snow we've just survived in Indianapolis, I wouldn't blame them one bit. If the weight of all that ice and snow has pulled your gutters away from the house, bent, sagging, or just plain giving up on life, it's time to call Gutter Helmet. And we're not out of the woods yet. April showers are coming, and right behind those, the whirlybirds. Those little maple seed helicopters that pack your gutters like they're moving in for the summer. They're like squatters. Gutter Helmet keeps all of it out, giving you 4-season protection no matter what Mother Nature throws at us next. Right now, WIBC listeners get 17% off. Call 800-5-HELMET or visit gutterhelmetindy.com to schedule a free estimate. Gutter Helmet, because your gutters have been through enough. That's 800-5-HELMET, gutterhelmetindy.com, 17% off for WIBC listeners.
So what's the one thing that's big enough to take the Iran war out of the top spot in the headlines? Oh, an assassination attempt. But let's talk about it. Historically, wars drift when objectives get fuzzy. Think of Vietnam or Iraq. Take your pick. Right now, we're in this position that feels somewhere between we could make a deal and we don't actually need one, which is kind of the ambiguity that will drag a conflict out. Right now, Donald Trump saying that, you know what? The pipelines in Iran could explode in days as the blockade continues. They're almost at their oil capacity, which could cause damage.
Yeah, we're in this weird stage with the war in Iran right now because there's no real serious active hostilities going on. We're keep kicking, having this truce be extended so we can have negotiations. The negotiating team from the U.S., Witkoff and Kushner, were set to go over to Pakistan, and Trump pulled them back and said, nope, Iran's not serious. So my biggest fear with this kind of ceasefire that we're in right now is that we're giving time for Iran to regroup and reorganize and maybe rebuild something that they've lost, or at least rearm themselves from other countries, potentially sending weapons in there. Obviously, the Trump administration is aware that that's a risk that comes with this ceasefire. But it is interesting that there's really hasn't been much talk of anything now in 2 or 3 weeks other than negotiations, which really haven't gone anywhere so far.
You don't have to attack the city if you starve it long enough, and that's what is going on. The blockade has moved from a negotiating tool to an existential threat to Iran's economic infrastructure. When oil can't be exported and the wells fill to capacity, the pressure on the underground formation causes damage that takes months or years to reverse, and Trump has found the economic equivalent of Operation Epic Fury's military obligation, their military obliteration.
You bring up a really good point about the blockade too, because and that may be what Trump is doing right now. And of course he's talking about, we want to negotiate. But one thing that's happening during this truce period time is that Iran is being starved of resources, mostly their oil resources and the revenue that comes from that. And this is a classic military type strategy that Donald Trump may be employing here. You know, it used to be you would go and siege a city. Back in medieval times, you would, bring your armies up to the gates of the city, and rather than expend all of your military forces trying to storm the city, you just surround it and don't let any resources come in. And so it may be that is Trump's strategy, and he's using these peace talks and this truce to just let time go by for Iran to continue to get squeezed through this siege mentality that's taking place.
So here is Donald Trump, and he says they have about 3 days left before things go wrong.
But what you're referring to is that when you have lines of vast amounts of oil pouring through your system, if for any reason that line is closed because you can't continue to put it into containers or ships, which has happened to them. They have no ships because of the blockade. What happens is that line explodes from within, both mechanically and in the earth. Something happens where it just explodes. And they say they only have about 3 days left before that happens. And when it explodes, you can never rebuild it the way it was. In other words, it will always be, if you rebuild it, it's hard to rebuild it all, but it would only be about 50% of what it is right now. So it's a very powerful thing that takes place, sort of having to do with nature. But when that gets clogged at the end, in other words, when you have to turn it off because you have no place to store this oil, either put it on ships or storage tanks, which they are just about finished with, a very bad thing is going to happen. So I think they're under pressure.
So something that we have to consider is that Iran has caused a lot of damage to U.S. military bases in the region, billions of dollars worth. Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, UAE, more than 100 targets across 11 different installations were struck. And Iran has used a mix of ballistic missiles, drones, and even aircraft. And some of the infrastructure that has been hit, runways, command centers, radar systems, satellite communications. So we've got some cleanup to do as well.
Yeah, anytime you go to war, there are going to be consequences for both sides. And yes, the United States has the greatest military this world has ever seen, and it is overwhelming, and it is stronger than, the next 5 militaries or more combined. But that doesn't mean that when you go to war, there aren't going to be consequences. Look, what happened in Venezuela with Maduro in January was the anomaly. That isn't normal. That, for whatever reason, that came out about as clean of a military operation as you're ever going to see. What we're seeing in Iran, this is normal. Guess what? Iran's got a pretty powerful military. They got a lot of missiles, a lot of drones, and we got a lot of vulnerable targets in the Middle East, and Iran has taken part of that. But any narrative, and the media keeps pushing this, and you'll see this still a lot being pushed by European leaders too. Trump is losing this war. United States is losing this war, when by every single military objective that you can look at, that is clearly false and not true, but there are going to be consequences. And yes, we've suffered some damages at our military bases in the Middle East, but that does not mean that the United States and Trump is losing this war. And in fact, we're in a position right now. Look, Trump knows negotiations better than anybody. He would never negotiate from a position of weakness. We are we're the aggressor in this, and we've got all of the cards, and Trump is negotiating from a position of strength despite some of the damages that we've taken. And this blockade and being able to cut off and strangle their resources, I think, is just part of that Trump strategy. But yeah, we've taken some hits, but they've been fairly minor, especially compared to what's happened to Iran.
He is saying that Iran, no more games, and they can call us if they want to make a deal.
It's a 17, 18-hour flight. I said, when is this meeting taking place? And it was going to be on Tuesday, and it was Saturday, and they're leaving, and by the time they get there, it's hours and hours and hours of flying. And I said, we're not doing this anymore. We have all the cards. If they want to talk, they can come to us or they can call us. There is a telephone. We have nice secure lines, although I'm not sure any telephone line is secure, frankly. But we have secure lines, and if they want, we can talk. But we're not sending people to travel 18 hours to meet where you literally, think of this, we had a meeting for Tuesday, and it was on Saturday that I was saying, when are we meeting? Tuesday, because it's so far. So great respect for Pakistan, but I will, because they've been terrific. They've really tried, and they'll stay involved. But we're going to do it by telephone. So if they want, they can call us. But again, they know what has to be in the agreement. Very simple. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. Otherwise, there's no reason to meet.
We have all the cards if they want to talk. They can call us. Trump negotiating the end of an active military conflict by telephone is, well, very efficient. When you hold all the cards, you don't need to travel to prove it. The call comes to you.
Yeah, this is like when you go to buy a new car and you're sitting there and you're negotiating with the sales guy and you're going back and forth and you don't like the final deal that the car salesman is offering you, so you get up and walk out of the dealership. That's exactly what Trump is doing. He's like, no, we're not coming to you to negotiate. If you want, here's where we're at. You know where we're at, and you know how to get a hold of us, so I'm going to walk out of the dealership and find me if you want to. The idea that you can spook Donald Trump, because that's another narrative that's taking place, mostly from European leaders and again from the U.S. media, that, you know, Donald Trump is scared. Remember, this was a month ago. Donald Trump's looking for an exit ramp, Casey. Donald Trump, he's desperate for an exit ramp. Oh, Donald Trump's had a dozen exit ramps since then, and he's not interested in taking any of these. So this idea that Donald Trump is spooked or he's worried or he's shaking in his boots, that's just completely laughable. It's not who Donald Trump is, and that's not what we're seeing reflected in the way he's acting.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
Party people, it's Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel show. And you've heard me talking about my success at Premier Weight Loss Indy. I was Fatty McButterpants, right? I can admit it. I was well on my way to 300 pounds. I lost a little weight on my own, but then I hit a plateau. And I gained a little back. I couldn't lose anymore. So I reached out for help, and I've been with Premier Weight Loss Indy since November. Since I partnered with them, I'm down nearly 30 pounds. My energy level is up. My muscle mass is up. All the numbers are trending in the right direction. Reaching out to Premier Weight Loss Indy was the best decision that I made. And if they can help a guy like me, I promise you, they can do wonders with you. So do not wait. Go to pwlindy.com. You are going to love the way you feel. They have 2 different locations. pwlindy.com. Tell them Hammer sent you.
I trust Pella Windows and Doors of Indianapolis to help improve my home when it matters most. It's not just Pella's high-quality windows and doors. It's the local experts who know the Indianapolis area so well. For a limited time, get 20% off Pella projects and 0% interest for 12 months. Call 833-87-PELLA or visit PellaIndy.com/radio to learn more. 833-87-PELLA or PellaIndy.com/radio. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Veterans and active duty service members. When your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hello?
Hey sis, got a sec?
Yeah, what's up?
Take a look at the picture I just sent you. I'm walking into Hellsburg and want to get Mom something special for Mother's Day.
Yeah, she's done so much for us this year. Let's see. Diamond pendant. Oh, she'd love this.
Great. I'll get this, which means you're in charge of flowers.
Okay, deal.
This Mother's Day, save up to 50% on timeless gifts for Mom. Shop at a store near you or at Hellsburg.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
United in Indy, we kick off the month of May. Tradition meets high-speed action at the Sancio Grand Prix May 8th to 9th. Want to be there when the NTT IndyCar Series revs up the IMS road course? Listen to Hammer and Nigel all week for your chance to win a pair of tickets.
So you've got a lot of people talking about After what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, highlighting the need to fully fund the Department of Homeland Security.
You think?
Yeah. Ron Johnson, he was on one of the talk shows, and he was demanding the elimination of the filibuster in response to Democrats refusing to fund DHS and a Secret Service agent taking a bullet while being unpaid. However, we're going to dispute that coming up, but here is Ron Johnson.
We did not have the votes when Democrats were being so obnoxiously obstructionist on just nominations. We didn't have the votes to basically nuke the filibuster on all nominees. But in the end, Democrats were so obnoxious, we had all 53 Republican senators go, yeah, no, we need to start, confirming nominees to just 50 votes. This may be a moment like that. Okay, I mean, again, it's a legitimate point of view, wanting to maintain the filibuster to, if we're in the minority, to block awful socialist, leftist legislation. But the Senate's already broken enough. We've pretty well eviscerated the filibuster anyway. From my standpoint, rip the Band-Aid off. The Democrats will do it. The Democrats will do it when they get the majority. At a moment of national danger, if Democrats refuse to fund DHS, I would say this would be the time to nuke the filibuster for good.
So the filibuster designed to protect minority legislative rights, not hold security agency paychecks hostage.
Yeah, I think the idea of taking out the filibuster is a terrible idea. Just like I think the idea of the Democrats that they've had of stacking the Supreme Court is a terrible idea. Just because Congress can do something doesn't mean they should do something. The liberals, when they get back in power, should not change the rules and stack the Supreme Court. And the Republicans that are in power right now should not change the rules and get rid of the filibuster. Those rules have served us well for hundreds of years. If you can't get it done, if you can't get the votes you need for what you want legislatively, then you've got to put everybody on the record so that you can let everybody know when it comes election time how the opposition voted, and you've got to be able to make that change publicly or make that pitch to the American people directly. But changing the filibuster is a terrible idea. It's just as bad as, mid-season redistricting and just as bad as the threats from the Democrats to stack the Supreme Court. Not something the Republicans should be considering. They should be better at negotiating with the Democrats across the side, and they should do a better job at pointing out how the Democrats not passing this bill is putting our country at risk. We're at war with Iran. We have a heightened threat on the homeland because of that. Because, Iran has been the number one world sponsor of terrorism for the last 50 years. So when you go to war with a country like that, you've got to expect that you've got a heightened sense of security on the homeland. And now we're sitting at what? It's been more than 70 days now that our Department of Homeland Security has not been fully funded. We thought it was going to be the airports because a month ago we were talking about how TSA isn't getting paid and we're putting our airport security at risk. Now it turns out maybe it was the Secret Service and the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I'm sure there's dozens, if not hundreds, of other potential threats to the homeland that are not adequately being handled because DHS is currently in a government shutdown.
So you've got Representative Emmer. By the way, there's a bill in the Senate and in the House. I believe the one in the House is just kind of a la carte, certain things to be funded, but not everything. But here's Representative Emmer, and he says the Senate is facing massive pressure now.
What happened last night, in spite of 71 days of refusing to fund some of the most important law enforcement officers in our country, TSA, the Coast Guard. We're not just talking about Secret Service. We're not just talking about all of these other law enforcement agencies. This is a big, big deal that these Democrats are literally playing with the safety of Americans. By the way, Republican, Democrat, and other, it doesn't matter what your political perspective is. It's about Americans' safety. The fact that these guys performed so flawlessly last night while under the stress of wondering whether they're going to continue to get paid and all the rest of it is even more impressive.
Okay, so I did some asking. I did some checking. And I don't believe that that's wholly true. We've been hearing that the Secret Service, they're doing this while they're not getting paid. And the ones that are carrying arms are getting paid. It's the ones that are in administrative positions aren't getting paid. Now, you need both. You clearly need both. But I want to talk about the hiring goals of the United States Secret Service. The last time it was updated was February 4th.
Yes.
Because keep in mind, the funding stopped on February 14th.
I think it was the 14th, 10 days later, yeah.
So total agency, their target is to hire 2,091. As of February 4th, they had hired 440. They had 161 job offers pending, but they can't officially extend a full offer until they're completely funded, which they're not.
Yeah, this goes across all of the Department of Homeland Security. And so, because I think that, once they agreed to pay TSA, the story got a lot quieter and people weren't paying as much attention to it because it wasn't affecting our daily lives. We weren't standing in 5-hour, TSA lines. But yeah, there are still other problems that are happening that are keeping DHS from protecting the homeland.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
Jeff Thompson grew up on his family farm. Long days, hard work, and the kind of responsibility you don't learn from a book. He baled hay to put himself through Purdue and continued for years helping run the family's livestock and crop operation. When he wasn't in the field, Jeff was in the classroom, teaching chemistry, physics, and math, and raising 6 kids alongside his wife, Michelle. Faith, family, hard work, and lifelong learning. That's Jeff's foundation. In the State House, Jeff Thompson brings those same values to work every day. A conservative who believes in balanced budgets, protecting taxpayers, and empowering parents. This year, Jeff passed a bill to save homeowners over $1.3 billion in property taxes over the next 3 years. From the farm, to the classroom, to the State House, Jeff Thompson never forgets where he came from or who he's fighting for. Conservative. Proven. Vote Jeff Thompson for state representative.
Paid for by Citizens for Jeff Thompson.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture Mattress in Columbus. We've extended our 99th anniversary sale through Monday, May the 4th. King for Queen mattress sale. Lazy Boy sofas starting at $9.99. And the biggest sale of the year on Indiana-made Smith Brothers of Bern. Up to 20% off Hollywood and Berlin Gardens outdoor furniture. Hurry! Sale ends Monday only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus with free delivery.
I work here.
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 We all work here at Radio 1 Indianapolis, one of the most diverse media groups in the world. We bring very different backgrounds and ideas together to create the best information and entertainment around. And right now, we're looking for someone to join the family. We have a sales assistant position available. If you've got great organizational skills and an interest in media and entertainment, we want to talk to you. Apply now at radio1.com/careers. Bilingual preferred. Radio 1 is an equal opportunity employer.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you have garage door problems? Don't worry, call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis serves all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to have served the Indianapolis community for over 50 years while supporting our conservative values. Garage Doors of Indianapolis. Call today for service today. 875-4577. 875-4577 or online at doorstoday.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, severe weather in Indiana could arrive soon. You'll get the latest on that. Gunfire in Greensburg this morning. You'll hear what police know so far. And a familiar face returns to the Indy 500. Those stories and much more coming up after Fox News Radio. You are listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, and it's now 10 o'clock.
He wants cooler and calmer politics. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It's time to turn down the rhetoric. We've been saying this over and over.
House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox.
The most prominent figures in the House and the Senate on the Democrat side effectively, calling for war. I mean, they use those kinds of metaphors.
He was there Saturday night when an attacker tried to shoot his way into the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I didn't hear the gunshots, and the next thing I know, half my security team comes behind me, rushes up, grabs me by the shoulders, and pushes me out the nearest exit door.
The attacker did not get into the room, stopped by law enforcement, though he did shoot a Secret Service agent who was not badly wounded. The suspect, Cole Allen, will be in court in a few hours facing assault and firearms charges with more expected later. FBI Director Kash Patel tells Fox.
This incident happened on late Saturday night, and it's Monday morning, and we're about to go to court. That's a pretty quick turnaround, if not maybe the fastest for something of this magnitude.
Fox's David Spunt's outside that court.
We expect this to be a relatively short first appearance before a magistrate judge. We know that he has been under heavy lockup and heavy security since he was taken into custody Saturday night at the Washington Hilton. And we are told via law enforcement sources that at first he was talkative and cooperating, telling his side of the story a little bit, but then we're told that went down to a trickle and he stopped talking.
Britain's King Charles is still coming to the U.S. today despite what happened Saturday. He and the Queen will go to the White House this afternoon for tea with President Trump and the First Lady. Tomorrow, the King will address Congress. Iran has a new proposal after talks with the U.S. to end the conflict broke down again over the weekend. Fox's Matt Finn reports from Dubai.
Iran is willing to stop its attacks and tolls on the Strait of Hormuz, but wants to postpone talks about its nuclear program until a later date. President Trump tells Fox's Jackie Heinrich that he will not budge on stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon because of what would happen if Iran did.
The president says the U.S. blockade on Iran's ports will remain in place. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Severe weather looks to be on its way. Partly cloudy and 62 degrees in the Circle City. Today's high, 76. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:02. That weather's supposed to arrive soon in Indiana. Here's Matt Eckhoff with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis to explain.
They might come in early enough that they stabilize the atmosphere and kind of shunt all of the stronger instability further to the south, which subsequent storms could then feed off of and become stronger. But yeah, all hazards are on the table today, given the energy present in the atmosphere.
He says they could start arriving at around 1 o'clock, and then another round is possible this evening. Gunfire in Greensburg this morning around 4 o'clock. Police say the person who was shot was rushed to a hospital in Indianapolis. They think another man came to the victim's home, which led to a fight and eventually the shooting. And they have not said anything about arrests. If you need to get gas today, AAA says the Indiana gas average is $3.79 a gallon. That's up 3 cents from this time last week. The state of Indiana putting $200 million toward child care to get more parents back into the workforce. Johnette Cruz explains.
The State Budget Committee approved the funding to clear wait lists for the Child Care Development Fund voucher program, which helps low-income families afford high-quality care.
Many families depend upon child care as they continue to work
and support their families. This expansion will help those families stay employed and help our Indiana economy.
That's State Representative Jeff Thompson. He says the move could help an additional 14,000 children across the state. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And Catherine Legg is set to return to the Indianapolis 500 after a year away, driving the number 11 Chevrolet for HMD Motorsports with AJ Foyt Racing. She'll be sponsored by Elf Cosmetics. This will be her 5th start in the race. Legg expressed gratitude for the opportunity and says it's important to have women in motorsports. I'm John Herrick, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off and you'll put cash in your pocket. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
This man, from what we know from video surveillance and from witnesses who were there, barely got past the perimeter. He was immediately subdued, and yes, he got off a couple shots. Our brave Secret Service agent who took one to the chest, although he was wearing a bulletproof vest. The president talked to him last night from the Oval Office. He was in great spirits. He was very appreciative. The president expressed his appreciation, his gratitude, and so yes. But no, I do not think, to the contrary, this was a security failure. This is law enforcement doing exactly what they trained their whole lives to do.
Barely got past the perimeter, immediately subdued. That's what the acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said. In tactical security terms, that's a near miss that became a success story because the layers of protection held. The shooter got one officer, didn't get any further. It's a box within a box. That is the security strategy, but the perimeter was too tight. It contained the threat, but the perimeter, being the hotel, was breached. You can say the system worked, though a better outer layer would have prevented that breach entirely.
Yeah, I think this is probably a case of this is the way we've always done it, because they've had the White House Correspondents' Dinner at that hotel for decades and decades, and the Secret Service, whenever the president's there, or ever high-ranking officials attend, which they have regularly done in the past, the Secret Service is there and has their normal layers of security, and I think that's probably what happened here, is they're like, okay, it's another White House Correspondents' Dinner, this is the way we do security at this hotel, but what's different about it is we've never seen a president like Donald Trump, and we've never really seen a president come under direct attack to the volume that Donald Trump has. And keep in mind, Donald Trump still got 2.5 years left in office. And you really got to go all the way back to Gerald Ford, who had 2 assassinations, real assassination attempts on his life within 1 month back in the 70s. That's not the case anymore. We live in a different world today, and we know that Trump derangement syndrome is real. We just saw the 3rd time in just 2 years a real assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. And so things are different. The world is different. Donald Trump just causes the left and people on that side of the aisle to do irrational things that we've never really seen before at this volume. And so we've got to change the way we're doing things. That's the way we've always done it. Cannot work when it comes to protecting Donald Trump today.
So the Secret Service has already expanded their protective measures after repeated incidents, and you mentioned them, the Pennsylvania rally, the golf course in Florida, also Mar-a-Lago breach. But do they need to expand it even more? Now they have to have discussions that reflect how these threats are becoming more frequent, more coordinated, and more unpredictable. And the unpredictable is the scariest one of them all.
Yeah, and look, Donald Trump did something that presidents rarely do, and he announced a good week in advance, if not more,
that he would be there.
Exactly where he was going to be. You rarely hear the president, you rarely hear the administration, any administration, talk about the president's movement more than a couple of days in advance. That's usually the most advanced notice, but it was a week or 10 days ago that Donald Trump announced that he was going to be at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So anybody that wanted to do harm, like this guy from California, had the time and the knowledge that was publicly available. Okay, Donald Trump will be here at this location at this time, and I got a week or 2 weeks to be able to plan for that. That's out of the ordinary, and something that my guess is they're going to tighten up, and that won't be the case anymore. If you can keep Donald Trump from saying things, the administration is certainly going to kind of ratchet down the information that they share about his location and whereabouts.
So here is Donald Trump talking about it being a dangerous profession to be the president.
It's a dangerous profession, but I don't view it that way. Look, I'm here to do a job. As part of the job, it is a dangerous. I can't imagine that there's any profession that's more dangerous. But I love the country, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the job we've done. You see what's happened. We have a great country. We've got, I think, the most successful, the hottest country anywhere in the world. This happened over a period of just a year, and we're going to do great things. But with that come risks. There's no question about it. Yeah.
I'm here to do a job. It's part of the job. That's the same thing that every Secret Service agent says when asked why they stand in the line of fire. Trump is just applying that same logic to his own presidency. And that's the mindset that makes consequential leadership possible under pressure. And history remembers the leaders who keep going. Churchill, he slept through the London Blitz at Downing Street rather than evacuate. Roosevelt, he gave fireside chats during the Depression. You had Reagan, who walked into the Oval Office 2 weeks after being shot in the chest because the appearance of normalcy was the message. And for Trump, he's saying, you know what, let's have the White House Correspondents' Dinner again within 30 days because we don't want them to feel like they got us. We have to carry on.
You know, Casey, can we talk for a minute about how great Donald Trump was after that attempted assassination? That clip that we just played there of Donald Trump talking about, like, hey, this is part of the job. I knew this going in, but it's not going to stop me. That happened in the White House press briefing room right after the attempted assassination attempt. And I think Donald Trump and the way he managed the aftermath was spectacular, and I don't think he's getting enough credit for that. And look, there's 100,000 angles on this assassination attempt story, and all of them are getting some traction to a degree. So I get it that there, some of these things kind of fall by the wayside. But immediately after the assassination attempt, he announced, and Caroline Leavitt announced, Donald Trump is going to be making an appearance. He'll be speaking with the press in the White House briefing room. He showed up. He had a statement that was very calming, very reassuring. I think it was very important for America and the world to see Donald Trump immediately after that. He talked to the press about how, hey, look, you and I were in this together, and I know we fight a lot of the time, but here was an instance when we were in it together, and praised the Secret Service and praised those brave law enforcement officials out there that were protecting him. But I think Donald Trump is not getting enough credit for the tone and the way that he managed the aftermath, especially in that White House briefing room.
Well, yeah, him and the press, they're now bound in sympathy for each other's angst over they were all victims together at the same time. They had an understanding of what he had been going through. And no matter what their disagreements are, they're bound by that experience now in that event.
And smart of Donald Trump to recognize that and talk about it. And yes, they are. And he came across as very presidential at a very high stress, high stakes time, and we don't frequently see that from Donald Trump. And so for him to be able to recognize that, hey, okay, I need to kind of put aside the bloviating and the name calling and the typical Donald Trump things that he does, at that time in that White House press briefing room, it was very impressive the way Donald Trump handled that.
So you've got a former Secret Service special agent saying that the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner was a disaster in the making, and he's urging the agency to change the way they do things to better protect Donald Trump.
Even though the Secret Service did a great job at evacuating the president and getting him back to the White House, it should never have gotten to that point. I've said this many times on these shows. The leadership and management of the Secret Service has completely misread the assignment. From the very first day that Trump walked down the beautiful golden escalators to the time he got elected, to the time he was out of office, former president, to now where he is president again, the threat level against the president has grown exponentially. Yet the Secret Service as an agency has refused to accept this and modify the way they do things to account for this ridiculously high threat level.
So the Secret Service was responsible mainly for protecting the president and the top officials, also securing the immediate ballroom area. Hotel security handled broader access to the building, and that created this split responsibility between the agencies. Everybody kept saying that, he got through security. He got through. How was he staying in the hotel? Well, if he got through security, then all 1,000 guests that were staying in the hotel got through security. Everybody in the bars and the restaurants also got through security.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea to have the president be at a location like this where so many people, are staying at that hotel or, like you said, going to the bars and the restaurants in the hotel, and those people aren't being screened. But it's what I talked about last hour. Things are different. Look, the world's changed. Donald Trump is the type of politician that we've never seen before, and he just makes people who oppose him lose their minds and do irrational things. And now this is the third time we've seen this in less than 2 years. And so I agree that there needs to be a strategy change as it relates to the Secret Service, because Donald Trump needs more protection probably than any other president that we've ever seen in history. I mean, again, 3 times in 2 years. We've never seen that level of, just people that just have it out for the president and are willing to do whatever it takes to try and attack the man. Things have to be different, and I think you'll see that going forward. It would sure help a lot if the politicians could get their act together and actually fund the Department of Homeland Security, under which the Secret Service operates.
So you've got people saying that they're going to be ramping up his security and possibly have him wear a bulletproof vest when he's in public.
We should expect in the coming days to hear about major security improvements, including that could include President Trump having to wear a bulletproof vest when he is out in public. Because, yes, this person with the gun who was staying at the hotel and came downstairs, that's a very hard thing to defend against. And they did defend everybody in the room against that. But he still got way too close with a gun. And so there are going to be major changes to the protocol here. Like we will hear a lot about the plan working, and it did work because none of the protectees or guests were injured or killed. But that's way too close, and so I expect that.
So they'll be expanding the perimeter. They'll have him wear a bulletproof vest every time he's out in public. Like they did with Bill Clinton. He wore a trench coat, a bulletproof trench coat, when he was walking in the parade for his inauguration.
Yeah, look, George W. Bush famously wore a bulletproof vest right after 9/11 when he threw out that first pitch at Yankee Stadium during the baseball game. This is things that presidents have done in the past. I think this really was a wake-up call. From a Secret Service standpoint or a protecting the president standpoint, you could kind of dismiss Butler a little bit because he wasn't the president at the time.
He was campaigning.
Now, he was a former president, and he was campaigning, but he wasn't president. And by the way, never forget,
he asked for more security.
He asked the Biden administration for more Secret Service security, and Joe Biden gave him the finger and told him to stick it. And, of course, then we had what happened in Butler. And you can look at the golf course incident in 2025. Yeah, that was a serious incident, but, the guy never got a shot off, and the Secret Service found him and arrested him. Okay, fine. You can. I'm not saying that I would do this, but I'm saying you could see how somebody could rationalize those away. You can't rationalize this one away. And the bigger fear here is yeah, this guy, the perimeter worked. The guy got taken down. He didn't get, far past the metal detectors. But it was also one guy. You could see that if somebody had a coordinated attack with multiple people that were trained to do something like this, that the outcome could have been much, much different. And I think that's the mentality that his protection needs to look at going forward. Okay, we got past this one. We dodged a bullet. But what if this was a group of people that sent 12 guys in to do this, who were trained to do this? What we had going on over the weekend wasn't enough to defend against.
Or if he had been wearing some sort of explosive device, by the way, that's completely why he was shirtless in all of the photos.
Oh, you're talking about when he was laying on the ground afterwards?
Yeah. They make sure nothing was strapped to his chest.
That's so funny. You said that the other day to me, and because I did wonder that. I saw that photo of him laying on the ground, and he didn't have his shirt on, and I was like, well, that's weird. Did they rip it off him as they were struggling to the ground?
Yes, they did rip it off.
They did. That's on purpose to make sure he wasn't wearing a suicide vest. Okay, now it makes sense. All right.
But the big picture is that this is less about one event and more about a pattern of escalating political violence towards a sitting president, and the trade-off becomes maximum protection versus normal presidential visibility. Donald Trump, very visible and very transparent, and he's out and about and goes to things. And it's going to be an adjustment not only for him, but also for his security. They're going to have to make changes.
Absolutely.
If he wants to keep up the level at which he does, he'll have to change.
And keep in mind, the Secret Service doesn't dictate Donald Trump's schedule and where he goes. Donald Trump dictates that. And while some previous presidents may have taken Secret Service's counsel a little bit more than Trump does, I think Donald Trump's going to do whatever Donald Trump wants to do. I think everybody can agree with that. And the Secret Service has got to find a way to defend him better, knowing that he is not going to stop going out into the public and shaking hands and seeing people and being visibly seen. He is probably the most visibly seen president that we've ever had in the history of this country, and that's not going to stop.
Keep in mind that the Secret Service has 4 different divisions. They have special agents, they have the uniform division, and the uniform division was the agent that was shot. You've got the technical law enforcement, and you also have the administrative, professional, and technical division. And currently, they sit at 28.7% of their 2026 hiring goals. Why? Because they're not funded. They're not allowed to offer jobs to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Secret Service is going to need more money. The Secret Service will need more resources. They are going to need to hire more people. And maybe this incident, one of the silver linings of this incident is maybe the Republicans and Democrats will get their act together and actually fund the Department of Homeland Security.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
Suspected gunman in the attack at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
93 WIBC.
They left a Secret Service agent wounded.
What happens next?
He ran past a Secret Service checkpoint.
Happens here.
And was taken down unharmed.
There is still a stalemate between the U.S. and Iran after talks fell through again over the weekend. Trump says the blockade will continue until there's a deal.
4 young women and a girl were shot in Bloomington late Saturday. 2 men are believed to be responsible, and they're still on the run.
On air, online, and on Alexa.
Pat Sullivan here with Michaelis owner Richard Michaelis. Richard, what are signs that your home is telling you there's something wrong?
Hi, Pat. You're going to see cracks, musty smells, sticking doors, pooling water. That could mean there could be a foundation issue or a basement crawl space issue. If you see or smell something like this, call Michaelis for a free inspection.
Wow, I bet you're fun at parties. If you suspect there might be an issue, get peace of mind of knowing for sure. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements, life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. 844-FIX-INDY.
Hi, I'm Adam Swain with Swainco Crawl Space and Basement Repair. When it's your home, it's never just a repair. It's where your kids grow up, where holidays happen, where life happens. That's why Indiana families have trusted Swainco Crawl Space and Basement Repair, because we're a family-owned, real, local Indiana company. We're not a franchise. We're not a corporation. So the next time you have a crawl space, basement, or foundation issue, call the real, local Indiana experts. Swainco, 317-407-1868 or SwaincoLLC.com. May means something different in Indy. It means weeks of celebrating speed, tradition,
the American dream. The official month of May in Indy revs up with the Sancio Grand Prix May 9. See the stars of the NTT IndyCar Series up close as they battle on the hair-racing 14-turn IMS road course. There's a seat for you. For tickets and info, go to ims.com. United, we race.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Meet Drexel Interior's new cabinet line, Drexel Select. Premium cabinets with multiple colors and free in-store design. Get yours in just 5 days. Visit DrexelIN.com to upgrade your home today.
This hour is powered by Sundown Gardens, Hamilton County Spring Nursery headquarters.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
So we used to think of these visits as ceremonial, and they're now more like controlled risk operations. You've got the King of England coming to visit. It's a U.S. state visit. It's moving forward despite what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and that shooting attempt. The trip is still scheduled. Officials are making enhanced security adjustments because of that recent attack. And isn't it interesting that this visit is requiring some post-incidental security recalibration, but also that the visit is still going on, wrapped in some security architecture you'd expect during wartime. And that's what's going on. This is to smooth over relations.
Yeah, and there's going to be an official state dinner for the King and Queen of England as they come here and visit the United States. Now, it'll be held in some portable tents that'll be set up on the grounds of the White House. If only somebody were interested in building some sort of like physical structure so we didn't have to have these temporary tents on the White House grounds. I don't know, maybe like a ballroom or something like that. If somebody would actually do that, maybe we could have these state dinners and these foreign dignitaries have these state dinners in a physical location that's hardened for security purposes, but also, not a temporary structure like a tent. It would be great if somebody would do something. Oh, Donald Trump's doing something about that, or at least he's trying to do something about that. And if the court system and the Democrats would get out of his way, maybe we could get this ballroom built so we can host state dinners like a real country instead of doing it in a tent in the backyard.
So the story isn't just a royal visit. It's about reshaping protocol for international diplomacy in real time. And you've got the British Prime Minister Starmer expressing relief that Trump was okay, but also, King Charles coming to strengthen the U.S.-UK alliance. And there's some work to be done in that area.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame the personalities involved. Keir Starmer is probably one of the weakest British prime ministers that they've had in decades, and he's certainly not helping the situation. What does help the situation is Donald Trump has a lot of respect for the British monarchy. He loved Queen Elizabeth. He's always had great things to say about King Charles. And now that he's coming over here to visit, I always find it interesting. We heard this audio a couple weeks ago from Lauren Boebert. Are you going to spend some time meeting the King of England? And her response was, I'm not doing that. 1776. We got rid of our kings. I always find the British monarchy very entertaining to me. Stand up on Buckingham Palace in the balcony and put on your costumes and wave and do your little traditions. Then I'm my king. Look, I don't want a king, but I like looking at your king and all the pageantry and history around your king. So it is always kind of interesting whenever the king and queen make a visit.
So they're going to be meeting King Charles and Camilla
Parker Bowles. You were thinking of somebody else.
I was. They're going to meet with Trump and First Lady Melania Trump at the White House, have that state dinner, like you mentioned, and also King Charles is going to have an address to Congress, which is rare for a foreign monarch to be speaking to our representation. And then he's also going to be visiting New York and Virginia.
This is Trump. What we're seeing here is Trump essentially cutting Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister,
out of the
absolutely
equation.
Out of the loop. Exactly.
We don't need you.
You know, Trump had famously the first president ever to have 2 state visits to the United Kingdom. That's happened since he's been into office, and so he got all the pageantry over there. But when it comes to Keir Starmer coming over here, absolutely not. Send the king. We'll give him all the pageantry. We'll let him address Congress, but the British Prime Minister can sit back on Downing Street and stick it. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing here.
Yeah, when you need to have a relationship repair tour, it means that there is definitely some friction there, and it's real. It's not just rhetorical.
Well, again, this was something that other presidents, and this is, I give Donald Trump a lot of credit for this, he has not been a kick the can down the road president. There's been problems that the United States has had with Europe for a long, long time. And every other president's been like, yeah, I'll wait for the next guy to handle that. I'm not going to bother with that while I'm president right now. And Donald Trump said, no, you guys aren't pulling your weight on NATO. You're letting all these illegal immigrants come into your country and totally change your culture. You say you stand for free speech, but as soon as somebody sends a tweet out you don't like, you throw them in prison. This is a bunch of BS. We're not as culturally aligned as you may think, and I'm going to point it out right now. And so good for Donald Trump for not kicking the can down the road again like all the previous presidents have.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A day to stay weather vigilant. Partly cloudy, and we're now up to 64 degrees in the Circle City. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Severe storms supposed to be moving in later today across Indiana. Matt Eckhoff with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says you'll want to be especially careful when you're driving.
You don't want to be driving around and have the wind start tipping your vehicle over or reducing visibility so much that you can't see. And also, of course, rain would allow for hydroplaning effects and stuff like that.
He says after these storms, temperatures are supposed to cool down as we head into the month of May. Lawmakers concerned about the shooting that happened Saturday night at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. House Speaker Mike Johnson was there, and he spoke to Fox's America's Newsroom this morning.
Half my security team jumps behind me, comes behind me, rushes up, grabs me by the shoulders, and pushes me out the nearest exit door.
Police say the suspect is a man named Cole Allen. He's due in court today. If you need help waking up in the morning, doctors are urging you to drink a glass of water right when you wake up. They say it will keep you hydrated. Most people don't drink enough water throughout the day. If plain water doesn't appeal to you, doctors say it's best to add a lemon or drink sparkling or carbonated water. I'm John Herrick. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
AI tech billionaires are bringing their data centers to Indiana. Isn't that nice? Huge monstrosities on our farmland and in our neighborhoods. And Michelle Davis, she doesn't care what you think about it. She let them build their data centers with no community input, no chance to have a voice, no chance to say no. She voted to silence us. She sold us out. They get their data centers, we get stuck with the bill. And Michelle, now the DC swamp is spending millions to fund her campaign, smearing conservative Greg Walker. But he's fighting back, doing what's right, giving us a voice. He'll force data centers to pay their own way, end their taxpayer subsidies, and keep Indiana farmland and neighborhoods the way they should be. On May 5th, vote Republican Greg Walker for State Senate.
Paid for by taxpayers for Greg Walker.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, what's going on? It's Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel show. And I'm not going to lie to you. I needed help. I got a bald spot in the back of my head, and it's embarrassing. I see it when I'm on television. I see it when I'm on the YouTube channel. So I decided to reach out for help. And my friends at We Grow Hair Indie decided to help me out here. These guys are the absolute best. I was a little leery about it. I could not have a procedure that, one, hurt, or two, left me looking like I'd been scalped. But after I talked with Darren and the entire team at We Grow Hair Indie, they told me their state-of-the-art technology, the progress made in hair growth, it's going to be okay. If I can do this, you guys can do this. Contact the team at We Grow Hair Indie, 317-522-2995. That's 522-2995. Get that free evaluation. It's free. You can also go online to WeGrowHairIndie.com. Contact them today and do this with me. WeGrowHairIndie.com.
What will your neighborhood feel like when you're older? Will you be able to get to the store? Will you find a bench when you need to rest? Will you still feel welcome in the spaces you've always loved? This is Tina McIntosh, founder of Joy's House and co-host of Caregiver Crossing. Aging well depends not only on what happens at home, but also in the communities that surround us. Stay tuned.
Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us to find a community near you.
Safe sidewalks, reliable transportation, accessible services are what allow older adults to stay active and connected. And without these, even simple errands can become overwhelming. Families and experts talk to emphasize that connection to community is what keeps people thriving, whether through public parks, libraries, neighbors lending a hand. And on Caregiver Crossing, we explore how to create places where older adults can belong and age with dignity. You can hear these conversations every Sunday morning on WIBC or visit joyshouse.org anytime. New weekly content is created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana.
Turn your yard into a place you love with the help of Sundown Gardens. Find bedding plants, hanging baskets, combo planters, tropicals, container trees, and shrubs at Sundown Gardens in Westfield.
Heat and cool with nearly geothermal efficiency in places you can't fit ductwork with Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits.
Just go to AbsoluteComfort.org. That's AbsoluteComfort.org.
A shooting near IU during Little 500 weekend, one of the most beloved collegiate traditions in Indiana, is the downtown Indianapolis violence story appearing near Bloomington during a major campus event, Little 500 bicycle race. It's been run since 1951, immortalized in the 1979 film Breaking Away. The shooting not connected to the race, but its proximity is the reminder that Indiana's crime problem extends beyond Indianapolis. You've got campus safety concerns during major events, and that requires the same attention that downtown Indy safety does.
Well, we're still recovering from the COVID era defund the police issue. And we had a number of things that happened as it relates to security and safety in our cities. And so what we had with the George Floyd riots, we had everything going on with COVID, and all of a sudden the crazy liberals in the media started pushing the, defund the police narrative, and we had prosecutors that were giving out cashless bail so that people could be off the streets while awaiting their trial and could commit more violent crimes. And we had these George Soros-funded prosecutors that were giving these sweetheart plea deals to violent criminals. And while I think the pendulum is starting, fortunately, to swing back the other way. We are starting to fund our police officers, and the concept of defund the police has completely been debunked, but we're still paying for that. And I think this incident in Bloomington over the weekend is just another example of that. We're still paying for all the BS that happened 5-6 years ago when it came to defund the police and let's put sweetheart deals out there for for violent criminals. Things are getting better, and look, the violence is down in Indianapolis this year. Now, still ahead of pre-COVID levels, so you let it blow up over COVID. You don't get credit by fixing the problem you created, but we're still dealing with all of that from 5 years ago, and this is just another example of it.
The IRS is increasingly using artificial intelligence, this to help select tax returns for review and audits. How do you feel about that? You could have AI just randomly selecting you for an audit.
I mean, this is what's to be expected. I mean, AI is slowly infiltrating every aspect of our life, whether you like it or not. And having the IRS use AI to be able to target certain audits for taxpayers is not a surprise. Let's keep in mind at the very least, Donald Trump stopped that ridiculous Biden administration proposal to hire 80,000 new IRS agents.
87,000.
And thank you for the correction. I'd hate to undersell that. 87,000 new IRS agents. But look, IRS is looking for efficiencies. They're going to use AI to do it and target you. I would just hope that most of this is being done against, higher income people that are dodging their taxes. Here's what I'm gonna say. Don't cheat on your taxes. Nobody hates paying taxes more than I do, and I do everything within the law to pay as little taxes as possible, and you should too. But for people that cheat on their taxes, absolutely, they should be prosecuted for it. And I think introducing an AI aspect of it is just to be expected. Look, we're going to see AI in everything. Everything that we do in the coming years is going to have AI attached to it somehow. So we should expect that the IRS and many forms of the government are going to be using AI. Donald Trump talked about this. When we went to war with Iran, the United States military is using AI to process intelligence on the battlefield in real time. That's a major plus for our fighting men and women overseas, that we're able to do things more efficiently and get better information and get better data because we're using AI. And I know everybody loves to demonize AI, and look, I'm no fan of the current way data centers are being crammed down our throats in certain communities, especially here in the state of Indiana. But at some point in time, you've got to sit here and say, look, we've got to accept it. AI is here. It's going to be even more intrusive in our lives going forward, and how do we manage that?
So you've got AI being used to spot patterns of underreported income, also flag unusual deductions or mismatches, improve detection of fraud and errors. Okay, so AI is making audits more targeted, not necessarily more common. This is what modern governance is looking like. It's not the IRS knocking on your door. It's an algorithm now quietly flagging your return. It does seem it would be more efficient on paper, but historically, every time institutions move from human judgment to these systems, trust becomes the first casualty.
Well, you're
not going to trust AI to do the right thing.
No, and I would hope that the IRS is not exclusively using AI. I think like anything else, AI is just one tool in a toolbox full of many tools that you use to get the job done. And so, yeah, if it's more efficient for them to spot tax cheats using AI, I'd think, okay, fine, that tax cheat gets flagged, and now we've got a human being that's going to take a little bit more of a deeper dive into it. And so you still may get the knock on the door from the IRS. They'll just be a little bit more targeted when they do things. Look, I wish that the government would have deployed AI to root out fraud as it relates to Somali daycares and all the fraud that's happened in the healthcare system in California that's been exposed in the last few months. So the idea that AI bad always in every instance, not necessarily accurate.
So the irony is pretty clear, though. We keep trying to modernize enforcement and make it smarter and leaner. But the more complex the system gets, it's harder for the average person to understand even what triggered the scrutiny to begin with.
Oh, that's a whole nother topic. Look, hey, can I get AI to do my taxes? Maybe that's what we need to do. I've got AI to do my taxes and the IRS to look for tax cheats. So now it's just AI fighting AI. The battle of the AIs. My Claude is better than your Chat GPT. My Microsoft Copilot is better than your Grok. That's where we're at right now. Hey, this is the way it always works. Whenever the government...
Who's ever got the better prompt wins.
Well, and whenever the government tries to put the screws on us and try to, root out tax cheats, the people that want to cheat on their taxes are going to use the same techniques to avoid them and not get caught in the future. So we should fully expect that people will start using AI to find ways around either doing their taxes legally or potentially using AI to find ways to skirt the tax laws illegally.
So this is probably probably one of the most impressive athletic feats ever. You have Sebastian Saw running the 26 London Marathon in 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Come on, Sebastian! You can get this! History in the making! Under 2 hours. Nobody has ever done this. They said it couldn't be done. Sebastian Sawe is going to break the 2-hour mark. He's going to win the London Marathon in incredible style. An historic performance, 1:59.30. Absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like that. What a finish. That you would say is unbelievable, but we've just seen it. And Kajelcha was probably under 2 hours as well. Paula's just confirming to me in second place. There he is. The two men put an immense race together.
Mm-hmm. So definitely a career-defining moment. It's being framed as a new era in distance running performance driven by training, pacing, and also shoe technology. It was the shoe.
It's got to be the shoes, just like Mars Blackman with the Michael Jordan commercial back in the 90s. Muddy, it's got to be the shoes. I love this story. Well, for starters, it's a sports story. But I love how it is going to be fascinating to watch. So we can look to historical precedent here. So Roger Bannister in 1954 was the first man to break the 4-minute mile. Again, very similar to what that announcer just said. They thought no human could ever run a mile faster than 4 minutes. And in 1954, Roger Bannister breaks the 4-minute mile. Nobody had ever done it before. Within 2.5 years after that, 10 more runners broke the 4-minute mile. And so it'll be fascinating to see, which leads you to believe that it was mostly mental.
Psychological.
Mostly mental and psychological, which from a sports aspect is absolutely fascinating to me. And so it would be interesting to see if history repeats itself. Nobody could ever break the 2-hour marathon. It's never going to, humans can't run that fast. Okay.
For that long.
This guy just did it. Now, all of a sudden, are we going to start to see a ton more people break the 2-hour mile? My guess is we will see more people break the 2-hour marathon record, or barrier, I should say. And we'll probably see people do it in a similar fashion to the way they did it after Roger Bannister's 4-minute mile in 1954. Again, just showing how much what we do, especially when it comes to our physical effort and when it comes to high-performance athlete, how much of it is psychological. And it looks like we may have another opportunity to get some evidence that shows it's a huge, huge part of these high-performance athletes.
4-minute mile pace. He did it against other runners, too. Race conditions. It wasn't like he was just out there on his own.
No,
he had to keep that pace going. That's incredible.
Look, I'm the least fit person by a mile. It's not even close. So, but I do, love sports and study high performance athletes. And so what this guy did, and it's kind of funny because, of course, the whole White House Correspondents' Dinner and assassination attempt really obviously, and for good reason, dominated the news cycle over the weekend. But there was this kind of underpinning on social media. This story got a ton of traction because it is fascinating whenever an athlete does something like this that is clearly measurable. It's one thing if you're in a sport where the judges give you a score and it's not very objective, it's very subjective. Running on a timer, that's pretty objective. And so when an athlete,
either do it or you don't.
Yeah, when an athlete does something that's never been done before, it rightly, catches a lot of attention. And I'm going to be fascinated to watch to see if all of a sudden you see all kinds of runners start breaking that 2-hour marathon record.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel show, the very latest and everything you need to know from Donald Trump's assassination attempt. Plus, might have some weather headed our way. 3 o'clock, 93 WIBC.
Tracy Powell's faced 4 state warrants for unpaid income taxes. That's right, 4 tax warrants. And Powell got away with it. Got elected county commissioner, in fact. We all know about politicians who get away with insider deals. And Tracy Powell's their poster child. Condemned for bucking the law on a shady infrastructure project. A $9 million insider deal. And Powell hid it from public view. For you and me, tax cheating, law breaking, and backroom deals means fines or jail time. But to the DC insiders in the swamp, it's a sure sign of one thing. There's a guy we can buy. And his name is Tracy Powell. You've seen their millions on TV. Lies from Indy, ads made in Washington, smearing one of us, conservative Jim Buck. That's Tracy's campaign, paid for by insiders spreading lies. So don't let the swamp fool you again. Jim Buck for state senate, paid for by Citizens for Buck.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here. Let me ask you something. Are your gutters frowning from this past winter? Because after all the ice and snow we've just survived in Indianapolis, I wouldn't blame them one bit. If the weight of all that ice and snow has pulled your gutters away from the house, bent, sagging, or just plain giving up on life, it's time to call Gutter Helmet. And we're not out of the woods yet. April showers are coming, and right behind those, the whirlybirds. Those little maple seed helicopters that pack your gutters like they're moving in for the summer. They're like squatters. Gutter Helmet keeps all of it out, giving you 4-season protection no matter what Mother Nature throws at us next. Right now, WIBC listeners get 17% off. Call 800-5-HELMET or visit gutterhelmetindy.com to schedule a free estimate. Gutter Helmet, because your gutters have been through enough. That's 800-5-HELMET, gutterhelmetindy.com, 17% off for WIBC listeners.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications the top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Hello, this is Don Steffi, Executive Director for the Indianapolis Ballet, and I want to personally thank everyone who made this past season such a wonderful success. Whether single ticket buyers, subscribers, donors, volunteers, or corporate and foundation supporters, a sincere thank you is extended to you all from our board, staff, and dancers. Let's have another dance together next year, shall we? As we present a new season of great performances by your Indianapolis Ballet. Thank you.
At Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center, you'll talk with an oncologist within 48 hours of your diagnosis, so you won't have to wait to start finding answers.
They got me in pretty quickly to meet my team. They gave me the plan and what they knew and what they wanted to do. I was really impressed with the care team and the approach they took.
Learn more about Community MD Anderson at ecommunity.com/cancer.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids. Rolaids' dual-active formula has calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. Yeah, you heard right. 2 actives for that powerful relief. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolade spells powerful relief. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
I work here.
I work here.
I work here. I work here.
I work here.
I work here.
We all work here at Radio 1 Indianapolis, one of the most diverse media groups in the world. We bring very different backgrounds and ideas together to create the best information and entertainment around. And right now, we're looking for someone to join the family. We have a sales assistant position available. If you've got great organizational skills and an interest in media and entertainment, we want to talk to you. Apply now at radio1.com/careers. Bilingual preferred. Radio 1 is an equal opportunity employer. United in Indy, we kick off the month of May. Tradition meets high-speed action at the Sancio Grand Prix May 8th and 9th. Want to be there when the NTT IndyCar Series revs up the IMS road course? Listen to Tony Katz all week for your chance to win a pair of tickets.
So I says to the guy, right? I says to him,
read my lips.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Yes, I'm having difficulty controlling
the volume of my voice.
Did you hear this? 93 WIBC.
So let's highlight some interesting audio. A major crash known as the Big One erupted at Talladega Superspeedway during the NASCAR Cup Series. The wreck started when Bubba Wallace got sideways and his car was pushed into the wall, triggering a chain reaction pile up behind him. About 26 cars were involved.
And all the way down the back. Thrown away, and Wallace is in the wall right after contact. Right in front of the pack. Blaney's around. Logano's around. They're all wrecking. This is the big one. That's the whole field. 4 cars were in front of that crash. 1 car, McDowell, was behind it.
I mean, there's only 4 cars that are not in this crash.
It's a parking lot down here. Priest comes to the line.
Talladega basically controlled chaos every time they start the engines.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of interesting video clips and pieces of audio that trended from the Talladega race over the weekend, the one that we just played. And if you haven't seen that video, every car in the whole field is stacked up, and one of the guys in the front row, like you said, Bubba Wallace, gets sideways and took out pretty much everybody behind him. And yeah, but to call it the big one, I think maybe an understatement in this instance. But then the guy that won, he was trending over the weekend too. Carson Hocevar won the race, and what was fascinating is he was doing his victory lap. He was literally hanging out the window of his cars like Dukes of Hazzard.
He was showboating.
He was showboating, and so he was hanging out the window of his car, kind of sitting on the edge of it while still steering the car, and then he intentionally, at a very slow speed at the end, took the car into the wall nose first, and then hit the gas and did a burnout there on the field, and photographers started gathering around him because they knew this was going to be create some great photos and some great videos. NASCAR having a pretty good moment so far this year. They had the, of course, and getting a lot of attention. Of course, there was that lawsuit brought by Michael Jordan's team, and then Jordan's team ended up winning the first 3 races of the season, including the Daytona 500, and then you had the excitement of Talladega over the weekend. It's been about 20 years since NASCAR was kind of cool. I'm not sure it's there yet, but it's starting to get its groove back, it feels like.
Some people like to see the crashes, and that will bring up the coolness factor for some people.
Well, just do something interesting. That's been NASCAR's biggest problem the last 20 years. It's just been boring. There really you didn't have the stars like Dale Jr. and Dale Sr. and all the other stars that have been such a part of NASCAR's growth in the 90s and early 2000s. It just doesn't have that it factor anymore, and it feels like it's at least starting to change that direction, and the pendulum is swinging the other way a little bit.
Buc-ee's apparently still having the it factor. They brought in an extraordinarily large amount of money for one of their grand openings that happened in Huber Heights, Ohio. Over $1 million in sales.
In one day.
In one day. Those Beaver Nuggets are still popular.
2028 is when we're projected to get our first Buc-ee's here in Greenwood. Gotta wait 2 more years? Come on, man.
You're listening to Casey and Jim on 93 WIBC.
Hey, I don't know about you, but I love my outdoor space in the backyard. We have a big deck, and it's kind of a pain in the rear to seal it and coat it every couple of years. That's where Premier Deck Coating comes in, all right? I'm thinking, what can I do to make my deck look better and feel more comfortable? It's Premier Deck Coating. It's a no-brainer. If you want your deck looking its absolute best and protected, this is the way to go. Premier Deck Coating helps repel moisture, add scratch resistance, and just makes everything look awesome. Here's the best part. Comes in virtually any color you can imagine, so you can really customize your space exactly how you want it. Plus, they back it up with a 10-year warranty. Yep, 10 years. That's what I'm talking about. It means no more staining or painting every couple of years, and you just think about the money you'll save there. Make this the year you upgrade your outdoor space. Get a free quote. Call 317-696-4071, 317-696-4071. Or check them out online, PremierDeckCoating.com.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention, and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone. We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Marty Corpus, business manager of Labor's Local 120. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We are all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Hello?
Hey, sis. Got a sec?
Yeah, what's up?
Take a look at the picture I just sent you. I'm walking into Hellsburg and want to get Mom something special for Mother's Day.
Yeah, she's done so much for us this year. Let's see. Diamond pendant. Oh, she'd love this.
Great. I'll get this, which means you're in charge of flowers.
Okay, deal.
This Mother's Day, save up to 50% on timeless gifts for Mom. Shop at a store near you or at Hellsburg.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
For 45 years, Dish has been connecting America with the best in family TV entertainment and advanced technology at an unbeatable value. And that commitment continues with our new 45th anniversary special offer. Get the lowest price in satellite TV starting as low as $89.99 a month. In a world of rising costs and hidden fees, Dish stays transparent, reliable, and honest, just like our founders intended. Learn more by calling 888-ADD-DISH or visit dish.com. Terms and conditions apply.
The Attorney General's office wants to put your money back in your pocket. Visit indianaunclaimed.gov and search for yourself, your loved ones, or your business. It's fast, easy, and free.
Turn your tax refund into new floors at Drexel Interiors. Luxury vinyl and carpet on sale now. Visit them in Carmel on River Road or on North Shadeland. Online at drexelin.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, what happens after the severe weather happens in Indiana? Gunfire in Indianapolis at a gas station. You'll hear what police know so far about that. And 2 women from Indiana are being honored this week. You'll hear why. Those stories and much more coming up after Fox News Radio at the top of the hour. You are listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, and it's 11 o'clock.
He has an afternoon court date. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Cole Allen, the suspect in the attack outside the Washington or White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night. FBI Director Kash Patel tells Fox.
America deserves answers. President Trump has committed to transparency and accountability.
Fox's David Spunce outside the court in D.C.
We're told that he will be facing 2 counts of using a firearm during a crime of violence, also assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. Perhaps more charges could be added, according to U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. Now, we expect today's court hearing to be routine and quick. He wanted to harm members of the Trump administration, according to his reported manifesto.
Allen's from California. Fox's Jonathan Hunt's outside his home in Torrance, where investigators are talking to his parents, looking for evidence.
Other than his sister saying that he did make some radical statements, you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody here who saw any real red flags. And one of the questions I think investigators are going to be looking at is how did this essentially mild-mannered university student, then teacher, turn so radical so quickly?
House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox we have to tone down political rhetoric.
It is a moment, a sobering moment for the country. We've got to unify and we've got to handle these things together and recognize we're facing, real threats out there. It's a dangerous time.
And First Lady Melania Trump just posted on X a call for ABC to take a stand against Jimmy Kimmel, calling the late-night TV show host a coward, writing his hateful and violent rhetoric is corrosive, intended to divide our country, after a Kimmel monologue last week before the White House dinner incident, joking about the Trump's marriage, saying the First Lady has the glow of an expectant widow. Iran says it'll open the Strait of Hormuz in talks with the U.S., but Secretary of State Marco Rubio just told Fox.
If what they mean by opening the straits is, yes, the straits are opened as long as you coordinate with Iran, get our permission, or we'll blow you up, and you pay us, that's not opening the straits.
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What could happen after the severe weather happens? Partly cloudy and 65 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Severe storms possible in Indiana later this afternoon and evening. You're urged to watch out for damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes. Those are all possible. Then the weather takes a turn after that. Ryan Hedrick reports.
Temperatures will drop starting Tuesday, and it may get cold enough for frost to form.
Frost can have detrimental effects to vegetation, especially since vegetation is starting to
come back to life. And we're mostly green out there.
Matt Eckhoff at the National Weather Service, Indianapolis, says any frost that develops can
stunt the growth, kill the new shoots, or damage the plant to the point where it'll be delayed in its growth.
He says if frost is expected, cover your plants before sunset using sheets, blankets, or a frost cloth. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC, Mobile News.
A man was shot and killed on the east side of Indianapolis Sunday night. IMPD Night Watch Captain Richard Ray said he was found in the parking lot of a BP gas station on Midhofer Road just before 7 o'clock, and he died a short time later.
This just is a senseless act of violence that occurred again in our city. There's no reason for violence to occur at a business at a major intersection in our city.
He says if you can be of any help catching the shooter, please call IMPD or Crime Stoppers. The Marion County Coroner's Office says they've identified the 1-year-old boy killed in a fatal crash on Marion University's campus on Sunday. His name was Elian Pastora. Investigators say he was not restrained properly in the car. 2 other adults were injured. 2 Indiana women being honored this week for a combined 60 years of service in the fight against sexual violence. Johnette Cruz reports.
On Tuesday in Indianapolis, the Indiana Coalition to End Sexual Assault will recognize retired Fort Wayne Deputy Chief Dottie Davis and Muncie advocate Teresa Clemens. Davis is receiving a national award for her work bridging the gap between police and survivors, while Clemens is being recognized for 3 decades of expanding crisis services in East Central Indiana. The ceremony comes as state data shows Indiana's rate of sexual assault remains above the national average. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And I'm John Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Pat Sullivan here for the Michaelis Corporation. If you've experienced storm damage, make the call to Michaelis. Here's Richard Michaelis to explain why.
Thanks, Pat. Michaelis is a local, family-owned and operated company. We're your neighbors, serving Central Indiana for over 40 years. We offer free home inspections and are experts in roof damage caused by rain, wind, hail, tree impacts, and significant storms. Have gutter and siding damage from a storm? We take care of that too.
And if there's interior damage from the storm, is that something Michaelis can help with?
Yes, Michaelis repairs both interior and exterior storm damage. One of the best things we offer is helping you navigate the insurance process to make it as easy as possible.
If you've suffered storm damage, call the local company you can trust. Call or text Michaelis at 844-FIX-INDY. Water, storms, fire, or wet basements, life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Make it Michaelis.
Fired off 1 or 2 rounds.
The speed was rather incredible. Actually, it was like a blur.
How did he get that close with the place swarming with security?
I will say, look, I say it because I'm a big fan of the people of law enforcement. And, you know, some of these people, they may be crazy, but they're not stupid, and they figure things out. He ran 45 yards, they say, and he just went to it, and then, boom, he popped through it. I mean, he ran like, I think the NFL should sign him up. He was fast. When you look at it on tape, it's almost like a blur.
Right.
But it was amazing, because as soon as they saw that, you could see them draw their guns. They were so professional, aim their guns, and then they took them down immediately.
So you've got Donald Trump making a joke about the speed of the man who tried to kill him hours after the attempt. It's either really effective trauma processing or it's just a window into his psychological composure. It does seem unusual, though, right? I mean, you have to think, Ronald Reagan, what did he do? He asked the doctors if they were Republicans while they were operating on him.
Right.
Trump is scheduling the shooter for NFL tryouts. They're the same thing. Refusing to let the gravity of the situation collapse your ability to function, just doing it with your own style.
Yeah, I'm glad that Donald Trump can joke about it. I am fascinated by this guy that attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. You know, he doesn't seem like a crazy person. And I think that a lot of people in the media do themselves a disservice by assuming that somebody that does this is completely crazy. This was very premeditated. I mean, the guy took a train from California to D.C. He purchased these guns, you know, years in advance in some specific instances. He wrote the manifesto that we read. And while the actions that he took seemed like the actions of a crazy person, this isn't John Hinckley Jr. who attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan so that he could impress Jodie Foster. Okay, yeah, that's the talking of a crazy person. This is somebody that had, well thought out reasons why he did this. Now, those reasons were, not valid, and violence is obviously never the answer, but it doesn't seem like this is a crazy person. Now, he was indoctrinated by the media and probably by liberals, because when you call Donald Trump Hitler and a Nazi and a fascist, and he even said this in his manifesto that was released, that, it's called Donald Trump a pedophile, a rapist, and a traitor. But that's what happens when you demonize somebody to the level that Donald Trump has been demonized so publicly in this country. It was just a few days ago. Cory Booker, a sitting senator of the United States Congress, came out and said that as it relates to Donald Trump, there is a storm in our nation. There is darkness and wind. We need foot soldiers of our democracy who in times of trial are willing to stand up. It said, it's time to redeem the dream of America. Those are the words of Cory Booker just a few days ago. That is violent rhetoric, and you can see how it would take that sort of language repeatedly being used from people in position of authority, sitting members of the Democrat Congress, people in the media keep repeating these things that are completely false about Donald Trump. Look, if Donald Trump's a rapist or a pedophile or a traitor, fine. Bring the evidence and bring him to trial. By the way, it was George Stephanopoulos at ABC News who called Donald Trump a racist and then was sued by Donald Trump, and ABC settled that lawsuit pretty darn quick because that's not what happened in his trial. But it seems like this guy, this was all very premeditated, all very laid out, something that shouldn't be done, but he had been indoctrinated by all of the language that people have been saying about Donald Trump for 10 years now.
Well, the same thing. There was a Joe Biden account that said Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Okay, you've got calls for Trump to be imprisoned, references to him as a fascist or a dictator. You've got a late night comedy host that treats his murder as a punchline. And then you've got this downstream effect on mentally unstable individuals who take the rhetoric as permission. It's the words about political opponents. These words, they have consequences, and they don't stop at the intended audience.
At some point in time, the media and the left are going to have to take ownership regarding the way they talk about Donald Trump and what it has resulted in. And let's run down the list again. 2024, we had the assassination attempt in Butler. Oh, by the way, 2024 was also when Luigi Mangione murdered on the streets of New York City, the United Healthcare CEO. By the way, a guy, Luigi Mangione, which is now idolized by the left. Many by the left, both politicians and the media, completely idolizing a guy like Luigi Mangione. We had the attempted assassination on the golf course in 2025. We had the assassination of Charlie Kirk in 2025. We had the potential assassination just over the weekend at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We've had crazy liberals from the left attacking our ICE facilities, attacking the National Guard in Washington, D.C. At some point in time, the left is going to have to accept that the rhetoric they are using regarding Donald Trump is inciting violence by people that are on their side. That has to take place at some point.
So you've got Donald Trump when he was sitting down with Norah O'Donnell, and he was asking about hate speech.
Also at the dinner last night was your secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. His sister, Carrie Kennedy, was there. They've both witnessed their father and their uncle be assassinated.
That's right.
Erica Kirk was there. The House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, was there.
Yeah.
Political violence has touched so many people in that room. Is there something that you as president can do? What can be done to change the trajectory?
Well, you go back 20 years, 40 years, 100 years, 200 years, 500 years. It's always been there. People are assassinated, people are injured, people are hurt, and I'm not sure that there's any more now than there was. I do think that the hate speech of the Democrats, much more so, is very dangerous. I really think it's very dangerous for the country.
He's right. There's a pattern. Dehumanizing political rhetoric followed by radicalized individuals acting on it. It's not new.
No, it's not new, but it is certainly coming at us at a higher rate than it used to in the past. Look, we talked about it earlier. Gerald Ford, there was an attempted assassination attempt on him twice in 1 month, and that was in the 70s. We did pretty well there. We made it until the early 80s before somebody tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. And then we had a nice 40-year stretch. And look, there's lots of threats on every president's life. We're talking about, people that got close or, real potential assassination attempts. We had a pretty good run there. Really didn't have anything under Clinton or H.W. Bush or George W. Bush that we know of. Again, yes, some of these things are kept from us for national security reasons, but this was at the level that, no matter how much the government wanted to, this information was going to get out. But now we've had 3 against Donald Trump. So something has changed. Clearly, something is different because we went 40 years without something like this, and now we've had 3 attempts on Donald Trump's life in 2 years. So something has changed, and it's the way that the left and the media have just lost their minds and react to everything that Donald Trump says and does.
Trump predicting exactly how the 60 Minutes interview would go, waiting for the predictable ambush question, and Nora didn't let him down.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
Trump, he's just so sick of it. But that is the strategy, right? Read the hostile content to the subject, put them on the defense, and then make them own other people's words.
Well, did you hear Nora O'Donnell trying to interrupt Trump there? Oh, you think he was referring to you? Yeah, it was in the manifesto. It talks directly to Donald Trump. I'm no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Who do you think he's talking? Like, that's some shocking information for Nora O'Donnell. Mm-hmm. But I think it does speak to the fact that the left and the media have gotten away with saying whatever they want about Donald Trump with absolutely no proof or no evidence to be able to back it up. And let's talk a little bit here about what we saw on social media over the weekend where an incredible amount of people on the left came out and said, oh, this was staged, totally staged. Yeah. I've had enough of that sort of discussion. If you've got an accusation, bring some evidence to back it up. Because if you don't, you just make yourself sound like an idiot saying something like that. Look, I get that there are conspiracy theories out there, and I get that some of them end up being true sometimes, but you have an obligation to sit here and have some sort of evidence to back up a ridiculous claim like that. It's staged, staged. No, come on. Be a reasonable person here.
Yeah, Trump convinced a 31-year-old to charge the Secret Service. I mean, so what? So Trump could get a ballroom?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was. Or it distracted from the Epstein files, or it distracts from Iran. No, can we all be adults here and have just maybe a couple of brain cells to rub together? This wasn't a staged event. And if it is, fine. Bring some evidence and let's take somebody to trial as it relates to that. But get out of here with that stage stuff this weekend.
Barack Obama is still waiting for the motives. apparently he was unaware that the manifesto was released.
Yeah, that is, and some people are trying to give Barack Obama the benefit of the doubt and say, well, he might not have been aware. It had just come out a few hours before he sent that tweet out. No, that was Barack Obama doing exactly what I said all of these politicians on the left aren't doing, and that is taking some form of accountability and admitting that the vast majority of political violence that we see today is coming from the left. But Obama didn't do that. He put out this weak, mealy-mouthed statement that talked about, well, we don't know the motives yet. Actually, we know his motives exactly. He spelled them out and distributed it to his family, and now we have it in print. It's right here. I'm looking at it right now. I can see his motives right here in front of me.
So Donald Trump was asked if this would change his relationship with the press.
I saw a room that was just totally unified. It was, in one way, very beautiful.
Do you think this will change your relationship with the press?
Well, look, for whatever reason, we disagree on a lot of subjects. I mean, we talk about crime. I'm very strong on crime. It seems like the press isn't. It's not so much the press, it's the press plus the Democrats, because they're almost one and the same. It's like the craziest thing. I have the strongest border we've ever had in the country, where, as you know, it said 0 people for 9 months came into our country through our southern border. We have a very tough border.
Okay, so you've got Trump's observation about the merger of the press and the Democratic political operation. It's the thing that both sides know is true, but neither one wants to acknowledge it publicly. The Trump-era media coverage is 90% negative across the 3 major outlets, and that's been documented by Pew and also by Harvard Kennedy School and other researchers. I mean, there's truth behind that claim, but they will continue to deny it, even though the data supports that.
I love those 2 clips back to back. Nora O'Donnell asking Donald Trump, do you think your relationship from the press will change because of this? And the clip right before that, Donald Trump tears into her. You're a horrible person for saying that, Nora O'Donnell. You're a terrible organization. Yeah, it doesn't sound like much has changed.
Well, how about the press stealing the wine bottles?
Oh, geez, that video was everywhere on social media over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the same press that was gleefully talking about, undocumented or unreported, unnamed sources about how Kash Patel has a drinking problem. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the correspondence dinner, you see when everybody's cleared out, some members of the press taking all the bottles of wine off of the tables. Yeah.
Yep. So you've got, let's see here, people with all sorts of plastic surgery and stealing wine bottles off the table after the place just got cleared out because someone tried to shoot the president. Is that a coping mechanism?
Time to grab some free stuff. Let's raid the tables. I hope that they lock down the office supplies at that hotel, because that's what they'll start taking next.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Code Red. The left, the right, China, and the race to control AI.
What needs to be controlled? Most people, maybe they've downloaded ChatGPT, because I make AI videos of like Nigel making out with Whoopi Goldberg, and we put that on our social media. I don't think there's a race for China to try to outdo us in that category.
Hammer and Nigel. Weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
Hammer and Nigel for Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Thompson Furniture is celebrating their 99th anniversary with the biggest sale ever ever on Indiana-made Smith Brothers and Lazy Boy, the king for queen mattress sale. Enjoy spring with new outdoor furniture and their sale on Pollywood, Berlin Gardens, and Ashley.
Interest-free financing, cash discounts, and free delivery to the Indianapolis area. It's worth the trip to Columbus. Thompson Furniture and Mattress. ThompsonFurniture.net. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
Meet Drexel Interior's new cabinet line, Drexel Select. Premium cabinets with multiple colors and free in-store design. Get yours in just 5 days. Visit DrexelIN.com to upgrade your home today.
This hour powered by Miss M's Home and Garden, Johnson County's spring nursery headquarters.
What is your problem?
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Houston, we have a problem. What's your problem?
I got 99 problems.
On 93 WIBC.
It is time for a little group therapy, and what's your problem? I think we both have a problem today. Jimmy Kimmel, he's my problem, as always. He pre-recorded a fake White House correspondence speech that included an assassination joke about Trump. Let's take a listen.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Okay, so hours later, a real gunman attempted to assassinate Trump at the real dinner. The timing is not evidence of causation. Kimmel didn't plan it, but it is evidence of the cultural environment that produces this kind of violence. An entertainment establishment so comfortable with the death of a political opponent as a comedic device that it's treating assassination as a punchline. The same time someone is actually planning to execute it.
Yeah, this is what I've been talking about for this whole show. At some point in time, and look, as conservatives and people in conservative media have been talking about this for years and years and years, but at some point in time, it's going to have to be people from within the Democrat Party, from within the liberal media that stand up and take ownership of this and say this is something we can't do anymore. And look, I'm going to give credit to a Democrat right now, Representative Marie Glausenkamp. She's a U.S. member of Congress from the state of Washington. She tweeted out immediately following the White House Correspondents' Dinner, please stop trying to murder the president. That is what we need more of. Not both sides need to tone down the rhetoric. Not, well, whataboutism with, oh, well, look at Donald Trump said this. Yeah, no, there's been one side that has been responsible for the vast majority of political violence and violent rhetoric like we just heard there from Jimmy Kimmel. And it's all come from the left. The vast majority of it has come from the left. At some point in time, they are going to have to own up to this and see the truth.
So broadcast licensees, they have obligations under FCC law to serve in the public interest. And now Jimmy Kimmel's joke is being evaluated in a different light should the FCC open up an inquiry about what he said.
Well, I mean, he's hoping for Donald Trump to be assassinated. I mean, how many times do we have to do this? How many instances do we have to go through where Jimmy Kimmel says something that, incites violence against Donald Trump or makes a joke about how he's praying, staying up late at night, saying his prayers, hoping that Donald Trump will be assassinated, and how Melania looks like an expectant widow? It's outrageous. It's ridiculous. And the call for this to stop needs to come from the left because the right has been doing it, has been calling for this to stop, and the left hasn't been doing that. They've been playing whataboutism and Trump and his speeches and what he says, but we've known this for a fact. The vast majority of all the political violence is coming from the left.
So Melania Trump has publicly criticized Jimmy Kimmel, calling him a coward over the recent monologue. I'm sure she had stronger words than that inside her head.
Well,
publicly
and
calling him a coward.
And Melania doesn't come out and say much publicly ever, and she's rarely seen publicly, especially for a first lady, and especially compared to other first ladies. So it's no surprise that she came out and made a statement like this, because what Kimmel did was absolutely ridiculous, and it'll be interesting to see if he's actually on the air tonight, because that's what happened last time he did this. ABC pulled him for a couple of days for things to cool down. It'll be really interesting to see if Jimmy Kimmel's on the air tonight.
So you've got the Indiana Fever. They're going to have 44 of their regular games nationally televised this year, and this is a record for a single WNBA team in league history. The Fever, the only team with 100% of their games on national TV this season. However, you're going to have to do a little seeking to find out which network will be carrying the game on which day, because they're all going to have it. ABC, also CBS, NBC, Prime Video, ION, USA Network, and also NBA TV.
Yeah, that's not a situation that's specific to the WNBA. NFL fans, Major League Baseball fans are having that problem. NBA fans too. The rights have been split up across what seems like dozens and dozens of both broadcast, cable, and streaming outlets. So it is difficult to find the games. I do find it fascinating that every single one of the Fever games are going to be nationally televised. I'm excited for it. I've said it before. I'm not a WNBA fan, but I am a huge Caitlin Clark fan. They had their first preseason game on Saturday. Fever won. Caitlin Clark looked pretty good. They got another preseason game coming up this Thursday before the start of the regular season comes up on Saturday, May 9th.
Okay, so they're saying that this is the viewership. It's being driven by the star power of her.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Which is interesting because when they made the announcement, they didn't utilize her to do it.
Yeah, look, the
We're being told she's a star, but then they don't use her.
What's so funny about this, the WNBA, not a serious league, don't have their act together. And what is hilarious is that in her, immediately when Caitlin Clark came into the league, she became bigger than the entire league, and the league couldn't figure out how to manage it and how to deal with it. But they love more than anything. All these people, more than anything, they love money. And so that's why they're putting Caitlin Clark on national television for all 44 Fever games this year.
You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like your neighbor Jerry.
When we first started looking for different options, we went to the internet. Really, we did choose Galaxy, and definitely happy that we did. We first had our front porch and our pool deck done. Decided we loved it so much, we had them out about 10, 11 months later to finish up and do our back porch.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
The crews at Galaxy were great. They actually cared about my property, very punctual, knowledgeable, and just a great group of workers.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
I'm 100% satisfied. It's not slippery and it's not hot. I was very impressed with the product. It's amazing that I don't burn my feet and my 6-year-old doesn't fall.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Severe storms supposed to move into Indiana later today. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Matt Eckhoff is with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
There's at least one round, most likely 2 rounds. It depends on how things evolve. First round of storms might affect the environment, which could alter how the second or even third round of storms develops. Until things actually fire up, it's really hard to say how many individual rounds of storms there are going to be.
Damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes are all possible. First Lady Melania Trump calling on ABC to take action against Jimmy Kimmel because he made a joke about her becoming an expectant widow. And in NASCAR, Carson Hocevar held off a late push from Chris Buescher to earn a victory at Talladega Superspeedway on Sunday. The field heads to Texas Motor Speedway next Sunday. I'm John Herrick. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey, what's going on? It's Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel show. And I'm not going to lie to you. I needed help. I got a bald spot in the back of my head, and it's embarrassing. I see it when I'm on television. I see it when I'm on the YouTube channel. So I decided to reach out for help. And my friends at We Grow Hair Indie decided to help me out here. These guys are the absolute best. I was a little leery about it. I could not have a procedure that, one, hurt, or two, left me looking like I'd been scalped. But after I talked with Darren and the entire team at We Grow Hair Indie, they told me their state-of-the-art technology, the progress made in hair growth, it's going to be okay. If I can do this, you guys can do this. Contact the team at We Grow Hair Indie, 317-522-2995. That's 522-2995. Get that free evaluation. It's free. You can also go online to WeGrowHairIndie.com. Contact them today and do this with me. WeGrowHairIndie.com.
When Dugan Air began servicing Johnson, Shelby, Bartholomew, Brown, Morgan, and Marion County over 17 years ago, they focused on a great customer experience. That has grown into the Dugan difference. Dugan is always looking to go above and beyond for their customers, consistently giving top-notch service every time. You will be taken care of. Dugan Air is your American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer. Go DuganAir.com. Go DuganAir.com. Dugan Air.
Premium service, no shenanigans.
Prepare to amaze guests at your wedding with flowers from Gillespie Florists. Enjoy a free private wedding consultation led by an experienced Gillespie specialist. Learn arrangements for your bridal party, ceremony, reception, from cakes to delivery, and on-site design services from natural to the spectacular. Call Gillespie Florists at 273-1100. Shop Gillespie online at GillespieFlorist.com or visit Gillespie at 10th and Raceway Road. Gillespie Florists, for all the flowers in your life.
Your home is more than where you live, it's your biggest investment. And at B-Window, we help protect it. Upgrade to high-performance windows and doors designed to increase your home's value while dramatically reducing energy costs year after year. With 0% financing for up to 2 years, upgrading your home can be completely worry-free. Plus, for a limited time, buy any product, get the second at 50% off. Schedule your free in-home consultation at bwindow.com. Trust local, trust your home to be.
Trust me. This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Make your yard feel like home with the help of Miss M's Home and Garden. Find bedding flats, hanging baskets, combo planters, tropicals, container trees, and shrubs at Miss M's in Burgersville. Tell them J&V sent you.
Last chance. Buy one room of carpet, get one clean for free. Unlimited rooms. Zero Res. 317-388-5141. ZeroResIndy.com for the WIBC special.
An unlikely writer carried the alarm through the pouring rain.
WIBC celebrates the spirit of 76. Brought to you by Samuel Solutions Group.
April 27th, 1777. As British troops burned supplies at Danbury, Connecticut, Sybil Ludington rode through the night to warn militia across the countryside. She knocked on doors and roused sleeping farmers to arms. By morning, hundreds of militiamen were gathering. Paul Revere's ride had happened 2 years earlier. That night in New York, the alarm rode through the night in driving rain behind a 16-year-old girl.
The spirit of 76. As we celebrate 250 years, remember to thank God for our liberty, love your country for our freedoms, and proudly share your patriotism. Brought to you by Samuel Solutions Group.
One thing that I noticed that happened Saturday night, you had CNN, TMZ, and CBS all reporting that the gunman had been confirmed dead when he was, in fact, alive and not dead and being detained. Again, so many people concerned about being first rather than being right.
Yeah, and we see that, and look, Casey, you and I have worked in the media for a long time, so when there's a breaking news situation that happens, like we saw over the weekend, you and I view it from a little bit of a different lens than most people because, of course, we're putting on our media analytic hat when it comes to this and analyzing the media's job at how they're covering it. And, yeah, a huge laundry list of major news outlets just reporting what is a blatantly untrue statement.
Right.
I mean, the guy, not only was he not killed, he wasn't shot. He wasn't injured. He was just subdued by the Secret Service. So, yeah, they were way off on that one. I can't tell you, as far as my media analyst of how the major networks covered things over the weekend, Fox News did a pretty good job. I was really surprised at how good of a job. I'm going to say this out loud, and I'm going to feel dirty after I say it. But I thought CNN did a pretty good job of covering it afterwards. Of course, they've got Scott Jennings, who is the token conservative on their political opinion panel. He's always great. But actually, Van Jones had a pretty reasonable outlook and statement on this and was very forceful in condemning this violence. He was one of those, what I've been talking about earlier, he was one of the few liberals that actually took ownership of the fact that, yes, this violence is coming. Most of it is coming from the left, and that is something that the Democrats and the liberal media and everybody on the left that eventually will have to come to terms with. It was Van Jones that said that immediately after the assassination attempt on CNN over the weekend.
Well, they did have their rush to be first after, rather than being accurate. That was on full display. So after they cleaned up that mess, then CNN turned it around. But of course, they had Wolf Blitzer, who was in the crossfire.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It's very, very worrisome what happened. Just coincidentally, after they served the appetizers, I walked out to simply go to the men's room, but you have to walk up these stairs and walk out, and which I was doing. And as I was walking back towards the door to get back into the big area where the event was taking place, all of a sudden I start hearing gunshots in the hall right near me. And the next thing I knew, a police officer threw me to the ground and was on top of me. And I was listening and watching what was going on. And apparently they got the gunman who had a major weapon there, but it was so worrisome. The noise was so loud in a small area, and all of a sudden I'm seeing gunshots. And then they grab me, the police officers, and they take me back into the men's room where it was safe, and there were about 15 other men who are stuck in there, and they won't let them out. And that's what happened. And then after a while, they let me out, and I'm out now.
Is it a real news event unless Wolf Blitzer is cowering under a table, yet still reporting live? It reminded me of the war that made Wolf Blitzer famous, the 1991 Gulf War, where he was famously, hiding inside while the bombs were raining down, and he was wearing the helmet, and it was all done via the old school night vision green screen. It totally reminded me of that when we saw that video of him just shooting it on an iPhone and broadcasting it on CNN and giving a first-person account as he was there in the middle of all of it.
The reporting that he did was very interesting because the audio that they were airing was him speaking on a cell phone. However, the video, which was synced up, was him being videoed from a different cell phone. It's interesting that they didn't take the audio from the video. They took the audio from the cell phone.
Yeah, it was fascinating, and it is. Again, you and I worked in media for a long, long time, and so we look at this a little bit differently. But yes, somebody was using an iPhone to live stream Wolf Blitzer, yet he had his cell phone up to his face, and so they were pulling the audio from that, and then were able to end up syncing it up at CNN Master Control somehow. But it's amazing the tools that reporters have today in the field in breaking news situations to get that information out. I don't know how he was, how that person that was filming Wolf Blitzer on their iPhone was getting that video feed fed live to CNN, because this wasn't recorded. It's not like he recorded the video and then texted it to somebody. No, this was all live streamed. So I guess maybe FaceTime or some other, live streaming app. That's how it worked. But reporters today have more tools in the field than they ever have had before.
And yet, you had a room full of reporters, some from CNN and CBS, yet they still couldn't get the facts right. They were still reporting that the shooter had been shot.
Well, obviously.
And that he was confirmed dead.
So what usually happens in a situation like this is they get a source that has some bad information. So all of these news outlets, all of these news outlets probably had the same source. They probably, I'm guessing here, but they probably didn't follow their, journalism 101, which is waiting for two independent sources before running with the fact. They probably only had one source. That source had some bad information, but unfortunately, that source fed that bad information to multiple news outlets who then repeated it as fact, and then it clearly turned out to not be true.
So you've got the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles. She is convening a meeting of top security officials to determine protocol changes after that shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Clearly, she is meeting with top officials from the White House operations team, also the United States Secret Service, and also Department of Homeland Security leadership, and they're discussing protocol and practices and changes that they're going to have for major events involving POTUS/Mogul going forward.
Yeah, this is something I didn't know until I saw this over the weekend, that the president's chief of staff is responsible for directing and coordinating the way the Secret Service covers and protects the president. And so Susie Wiles obviously is going to be part of that. It's interesting. There was a huge dust up over the Butler assassination attempt during the campaign in 2024. And then as soon as Trump got into office, they selected Sean Curran to be the new head of the Secret Service, which, by the way, he was the guy that was in the famous photo that was published around the world right after the Butler assassination attempt. And so you've already had a change in leadership that obviously was directed by Trump and Susie Wiles to this guy, Sean Curran. But now we've got another incident. And look, on top of, what was it, just several weeks ago that we had the Secret Service agent who was on Jill Biden's detail that had to run back to the car because he left his phone in the car and then ended up shooting himself in the butt. So a lot of bad news coming out of the Secret Service right now, and it's unfortunate. And it'll be interesting to see if the fairly new head of the Secret Service, Sean Curran, ends up continuing to be the head of the Secret Service after this.
So you also had the detail that the family of the shooter had alerted law enforcement of his intentions. And then there was this gap between a reported threat and then the prevented attack. And where does the accountability fall in with that? Because you had the family warning the FBI that this guy was going to do something. So the FBI's threat assessment infrastructure should probably be looked at, or at least the line of communication between the local law enforcement in Connecticut to the FBI to the Secret Service.
Well, what we don't know is the timing of all of that. Did the shooter's family get his manifesto 10 minutes before he, broke that security line and started running for the ballroom? Or was it 10 days before? That makes a big difference. And we know, because we've read his manifesto, it's been published now, that he wrote some of that after he checked into the hotel room. So it wasn't fully complete because he obviously hand wrote some of that while he was staying at that hotel, because he talks about how, the level of security, there was no security outside. The security was focused on protesters. When he showed up, nobody, sent his, bag through a metal detector. There was no security performed on him. So I think the timing as to when he sent his family that manifesto and how far in advance of the incident is a critical piece of that we just don't know right now.
Yeah, that is something that they will have to look into, though, the chain of information, what broke down and when. You're listening to Casey and Jim. It is 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the assassination attempt on President Trump, which isn't seemingly going to end with President Trump. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
You love spring in Indy, but you hate to paint, so do what Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
The house that Rhino Shield did for my husband and I after having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Indy, you too can have the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
AI tech billionaires are bringing their data centers to Indiana. Isn't that nice? Huge monstrosities on our farmland and in our neighborhoods. And Michelle Davis, she doesn't care what you think about it. She let them build their data centers with no community input, no chance to have a voice, no chance to say no. She voted to silence us. She sold us out. They get their data centers, we get stuck with the bill. And Michelle, now the DC swamp is spending millions to fund her campaign, smearing conservative Greg Walker. But he's fighting back, doing what's right, giving us a voice. He'll force data centers to pay their own way, end their taxpayer subsidies, and keep Indiana farmland and neighborhoods the way they should be. On May 5th, vote Republican Greg Walker for state senate.
Paid for by taxpayers for Greg Walker.
Since the day I got to Indianapolis, if I had a problem with my garage door, I called Garage Doors of Indianapolis because they can take care of the problem the same day. And when it's time to replace my garage door, it will be Garage Doors of Indianapolis because they've got the great selection and the team to make sure it's installed right the first time. Talk to Garage Doors of Indianapolis. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. 875-4577. Online at doorstoday.com. Doorstoday.com.
Hello, this is Don Steffi, Executive Director for the Indianapolis Ballet, and I want to personally thank everyone who made this past season such a wonderful success. Whether single-ticket buyers, subscribers, donors, volunteers, or corporate and foundation supporters, a sincere thank you is extended to you all from our board, staff, and dancers. Let's have another dance together next year, shall we? As we present a new season of great performances by your Indianapolis Ballet. Thank you.
At Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center, we're here to support you every way we can. From answering your questions to helping coordinate appointments.
The whole team has been phenomenal there. They've made me feel like I'm a family member. I get hugs every time I go in. It's been such a blessing that the great care I've received has been so close to home.
Learn more about Community MD Anderson at ecommunity.com/cancer.
In today's fast-moving job market, staying ahead means keeping your skills sharp. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we help keep your capabilities cutting edge with our skills-based education programs designed to move your career forward. Explore more than 135 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, and more. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
See Kid Rock live with John Party on Friday, June 19th at Ruoff Music Center. One huge night of country and rock you won't want to miss. Get your tickets now at WIBC.com.
Just reading through Melania Trump's tweet about Jimmy Kimmel. She said Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are coercive and deepens the political sickness within America. She goes on to call him a coward and says that he hides behind ABC because he knows the network will keep running cover to protect him. She says, enough is enough. It's time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community? And then in the comments, everybody is listing the sponsors of the Jimmy Kimmel Show and who not to go to anymore.
Yeah, and that was driven by a video that Jimmy Kimmel put out just a couple of days before the Correspondents' Dinner, where it was like a fake Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah.
He was doing a bit, and he talked about how Melania had the glow of a, quote, expectant widow.
Yeah.
Praying for, hoping, wishing for the assassination of Donald Trump. Jimmy Kimmel, that's what he did.
So you've got a new survey that shows about 65% of Americans say they are picky about the water they drink. Yeah, water. I believe that is the state beverage here in Indiana.
It is.
You'd think it would be milk.
You would think.
It's not. It's
No.
water. Many people believe they can tell different types of water apart by taste and smell. 57% say they can identify what type of water they're drinking without knowing the source. I bet I'd be pretty good at that. Can always tell when it's Dasani.
Yeah, you and our daughter, you have a hatred for that like filtered water.
Purified?
Purified. You guys prefer the spring water. I'm the one, I like that kind of harshness.
Do
from
you?
Dasani and
That chemical taste?
purified water. Look, I'm not going to say I'm a water snob, and believe me, I'm a snob for plenty of things. So if I was a water snob, I'd have no problem admitting it. But I can certainly tell the taste. In fact, when I was helping our daughter move over the weekend, and we were at her new place, and moving heavy boxes and out of breath and sweating a little bit, and I just grabbed a glass and went to the faucet and drank straight from the faucet.
How is the Baltimore water?
You can taste it. But again, I don't have a problem with that. So, yes, I can taste the difference between different types of water, whether it's bottled water or filtered water. But I'm certainly not going out of my way to pay $5 or $6 for a bottle of fancy Fiji water, which most of the bottled water is all marketing these days. I mean, there's something out there now called essential water, which, by the way, has a pH of 9.5. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
But apparently 9.5 is supposed to be
worth
good.
more money.
Also, their water is ionized.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
I didn't know I needed ionized water. We used to drink from the hose when we were kids, Casey, in the 70s and 80s. You were running around outside. That's right. You open up that hose and you get that nice rusty taste coming out of the hose water. And it turns out we were just fine. We grew up just fine. But
It's debatable.
I do get the I do see the taste in different waters and acknowledge them. And
You've got about 39% who say they can tell if water is tap or bottled after just one sip. 43% refuse to drink tap water from certain places. I think if you put enough ice cubes in it, you'll be okay.
Yeah, the taste of the water when I was in Baltimore was not great. The taste of tap water at our place in Indianapolis, not great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
We have very hard water here in Indiana.
We do, and I'm sure that's probably part of it. And so we use like a little Brita filter for the fridge because it just tastes better. But I get that. Look, it's the essential part. We've been drinking water our whole lives. Of course, our palate is going to be able to tell the difference between certain types of water.
A lot of people prefer the natural sourcing, like spring water, when choosing their brands.
There you go.
Raising my hand there. About 70 people say they prefer bottled water over tap water. Very opinionated about water quality, but most often don't fully understand the science or the sourcing behind it.
Now, what is your opinion on sparkling water, like Pellegrino or Perrier?
With gas?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's a bubbly.
On occasion, not all the time.
And it's also got like a sharp taste to it as
does.
well.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you for listening. This is 93 WIBC.
Hey, time to upgrade your outdoor living space, your deck, your pergola, your fence, whatever. Time to get the best with Premier Deck Coating. So if you want your deck looking its absolute best like I do and protected at the same time, it's a way to go. Premier Deck Coating helps repel that moisture adds scratch resistance, and just honestly, it makes everything look fantastic. Here's the best part. Comes in virtually any color that you can imagine, so you can match it up